What's up, everybody? Sports Goofs number 92. I'm Francisco, joined by good bud Charles. Happy birthday to fellow Goof Andrew. He is out partying, got some cheer wine, probably going to Culver's or something. I have no idea. One of his non-sponsors. He's probably out there. Yeah, it's a happy birthday to you, dude. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you next week.
Happy birthday, good buddy.
Yeah, we'll have a non-sponsor or something for you. I guess we can find something in a pinch. But yeah, man, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Let me read this thing, and hopefully, let's see if I can do this in one shot. This episode is brought to you by you, our listeners that support us on Pod Hero. If you like this podcast and want to support the work we do, please take just a few minutes to support us on Pod Hero. Not only can you support this podcast, but you can provide ongoing support for all of your favorite podcasts with a single $5.99 per month subscription. And to answer your question, yes, we're using Pod Hero to support our favorite podcasts too. And for a limited time, Pod Hero will donate an additional $5 to our show on your behalf when you join. Just make sure you use the link in our show notes. Thanks for your support. Haha, I did it. One shot.
Well done. I feel that after 2 more attempts, you will be perfect to replace Space Ghost Coast to Coast voice actor and then make the sequel.
Yeah. Oh, man. Sheesh, that's been a while since that show. Sheesh, I've seen that show in a long time. My goodness gracious. All right, Charles. Sports happened last week.
A lot of sports happened, right?
Yeah, many sports, many deportes, many things like that. And I'm currently watching. I got the Panthers and the Red Wings on, and then I think the Heat play later today. So we'll see if they'll disappoint us along the show.
It shouldn't be because I'm not watching it, right?
Yeah, that's true. That seems to be the trend. When Charles doesn't watch the Heat or even check up on the score, they win. Just the mere thoughts of the Heat in your brain makes them lose.
A little sad and aggravating, but I will accept the fact that I will be the social pariah, so we can at least be competitive and get to the East to some degree, right?
Yeah. So let's see. What games did we watch over the last week? I watched a ton. I watched a ton of sports. I don't know why. Not even sure. I watched the women's...
Is it because you run a sports podcast?
Not even that. I guess it's just something that's on the side when I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 5. And I'm taking forever in that game. It took me an hour to save a sheep. And
yeah,
I did. I'm doing the side ops right now. I'm doing all of the side ops. And I'm like going into the different outposts and the big outposts and like taking out all of their air raid equipment and their communications equipment. That way when I get to like the real missions and stuff, then I can kind of just pop in and make it easier on myself for the future. So I'm setting myself up for the end game. That's what I'm doing right now.
I love the fact that I was right about that game because I told you, oh my god, yeah, it's going to take a lot longer.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just get through the story and whatever. I've only done like 6 missions in the main campaign or main part of the story. Man, it is so much fun. I can't get enough of it. I can't. I played last night. Last night I don't know, I fell asleep and woke up real late. I played until like 3 a.m. last night.
Boy.
Yeah. No, I needed to put in some hours. I'm like, I need to keep playing this. It has to be like 5 times during a week. I have to play it.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, what else did you watch?
Oh yeah, so
college basketball's back. I was kind of tempted.
I watched the women's college basketball game. I watched the Virginia Tech versus Pittsburgh. Virginia Tech handily defeated Pittsburgh. They're not a very good basketball team. And then I saw 3 hockey games. Panthers and both games against the Predators. Then the first game against the Red Wings, and they lost that one. That's sad. But that was their first regulation loss so far. But we'll see. I feel like the Panthers are like the Steelers when they went 11-0. Like, it just doesn't feel like they're a good team. It just doesn't feel that way. Then we've got I watched a ton of NBA games. I saw the Rockets versus the Grizzlies because I wanted to see what our good old buddy Oladipo was doing, just in case he pops on over to Miami. You never know. He wants to be here. But we'll see if we can get him here. Watched both Heat games against the Wizards. And yeah, good thing they actually got things together and won the second one handily.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, well. The Heat have a huge problem finishing games. Well, especially when they're up. And even when they're up like a ton. Like they were up by like 30 points and the Wizards like cut it in half in like 5 minutes or something. It was insane. And then I saw the Heat versus the Knicks. So that was on Super Bowl Sunday. So that's what happened there. And then good game that I saw, really good game, was the Warriors versus the Mavs, where Steph went for like 50 plus points and
still lost, right?
Yeah, they still lost. And Luka also put in a ton of points, and man, that guy's good. That guy is just so good at basketball. it's insane. And so is Steph. Like, oh, people trash on Steph like he's a trash player. Like his rings mean nothing because he was surrounded by other guys, and that he's not really a leader or an alpha or whatever. But I don't see that. I don't see that at all. The man shoots. He puts on points. He was the reason the Warriors were even in that game. He was the reason why. I mean, gosh darn it, man. I will not have any Kurri back talk. The man is good. Very good at basketball. The reason the Warriors changed the landscape of the NBA. He is basically the reason. Yeah. And then, of course, the Super Bowl. That was the other thing I saw. So
more like the Super Bowl, am I right?
Oh, all right. I'm sure that was like the only thing you watched aside from wrestling.
Yeah, I actually watch a little bit of the West Coast games.
Okay.
I did watch the Rockets game, and it was okay. It's weird seeing a team that is built to compete, but only with fragments of it, because it's not like I would say the Thunder, which their record is more reflective of just luck and then one or two good coaching. Because I feel like Houston still maybe has some pieces to get to the 8th seed, I would say, or maybe the 7th seed, depending what happens with injuries. But they're very like hot or cold. So I did see that. I saw the Super Bowl. I did not watch the Heat, not because I didn't want to, but like the first time I kind of forgot about it, and then the second time I was busy. So I kind of noticed that trend where I'm like, oh man, they're like winning resoundingly, not so much, but they're winning regardless. And so what I can do is just to read the box score and see the stats. And what I've come to realize is that they win more when Kelly Olynyk takes less shots. So hint, hint. Just saying. And I've been thinking about investing in like NBA Pass or stuff like that, just because since we're going to get kind of a longer schedule, that might be worth it. But what happens is that when you get older, kids, if you're that person who wants to spend all their time just watching sports and doing whatever, more power to you. But when you have long seasons, you could be playing Rayman Legends. You could be playing Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain on your proper console. Life is short, kids, because then you'll have to be 31 going on 32 and scheduling your days for root canals and all this other fun stuff. So I choose to utilize my time. It's not that I don't enjoy sports. It gives me sports that mean something. And for basketball right now, it's more or less I probably watch more sports for the show, I would say, this early in the season, because even if we didn't have a virus situation going on, I would still be slow coming into it. It's not really until about the end of the month, because this is when they normally do the All-Star game mid-season on a regular season, that I was like, all right, let's look into it. But it's going to be interesting. But that's all I watched. I watched the Super Bowl, of course. I didn't watch the Puppy Bowl. I would want to go to the Humane Society and top them all. My poor heart could not take that, even though they're so cute and damn cuddly.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the Puppy Bowl at all. I just watched the Super Bowl, and man, I don't know what to say about it other than it was It was an Super Bowl. I think we all by halftime we're all resigned to the fact, like, yeah, this Tom Brady thing is happening, isn't it? And it was disappointing. I didn't watch the fourth quarter. I didn't watch it at all. I just watched, like, okay, at the end when the clock ran down, what have you, and then I went out to Dairy Queen to get some blizzards. At the end of the third quarter, I'm like, I need something sweet. I need something to get my mind off of this. The commercials were awful. Like, just the whole Super Bowl. And I thought the weekend was fine. I thought he did a good show. But aside from that, like, the rest of the Super Bowl was like, my God, this is like the worst one that I've seen in a while. I will not remember anything from the Super Bowl in a few years.
Except for Tom Brady having a perfect life. That Super Bowl was the nail in the coffin of why baseball, hockey, and basketball have more entertaining final games. Like whatever your final title is, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup, World Series, is because you get more than one game.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the series. Like you'll see,
it's competitive.
Yeah, you understand the momentum of the series. Like, but let's say a team is just absolutely dominating. All right, it's a 7-game series. You know, all right, they're about to sweep. You know they're about to sweep. So then you kind of prepare yourself for that. Okay, the sweep is coming. Or if it's
but then one game won.
Yeah,
or one game lost.
Yeah, exactly. Or then you might have the comeback. Or okay, they win one game. Okay, they won the token home game. No, they win a second game. Oh, wow. Oh, they might be able to do this if they can tie this up. And then you have different scenarios that could happen. But like the Super Bowl has so much pressure to have an awesome game, because once you see that it's about to be a blowout, then it's like, ugh. And people stick around for the commercials. But even this year with the commercials, every year,
what a good commercial.
Every year the commercials don't even make it worth it. Don't even make it worth it.
They've been sucking for years.
Yeah,
just so bad.
Yeah, BU here. BU's on. All right.
Yo, BU. 2010 was still worse. At least this one had the halftime show go for it. Which one was 2010? Because the only other one I remember watching that I hated more than this was Seattle blowing out the Broncos. Let's see. And then I will continue my rant. Well, as I'm continuing my rant, because I think I could do two things at once. It was the fact that Kansas City played as if they were without two of their starting tackles. I did not know that also Mitchell Schwartz was gone. Oh, it was
Steelers-Packers.
Really? Steelers-Packers? I thought that was quite entertaining.
25
and then 2009. Yeah, and then the other one was I missed the Seattle blowout dinner because of my Sunday night curling. Like, well, you had a good one. Yeah. And here's the thing: we don't know if BU is being, sarcastic. I guess this is his lifestyle right here. Anything with different sports, I would say, man knows about it. It's all good stuff. I really hope it's real that he did it. But bringing it back, there was no juicy storylines coming into it, and I think storylines matter because everybody's saying it's like, oh, the Brady-Mahomes effect, he's going to overtake Brady. Statistically speaking, no one's going to win 7 Super Bowls, so I hate that narrative. I think it's just a narrative from poorly imaginative sportscasts because they have nothing ever else to do with imagination. If anything, this should have been the narrative of Super Bowl of, hey, we still like guys who beat people up and children up into the Super Bowl, Tyreek Hill and Antonio Brown. But, I mean, it's an indisputable fact. Yeah. Fight me on that, kids. But that's a money selling narrative. But the commercials suck, and the Super Bowl hasn't been good since I would say the Eagles and Patriots played against each other. Because I didn't really necessarily like. Yeah, I don't even think I liked last year's one. I think I just liked last year because of who. Yeah, well, I think I liked last year because of who won in Kansas City. Because I wasn't really crazy about San Francisco. But this is also my problem with football. It has not really been that enjoyable of playoffs in and of itself. Except for 1 or 2 games. I think the Packers game was entertaining that came down to the wire against them and
the Colts and the Bills.
Bucks.
That was a good game.
Yeah, that was good. And it was all like that. But then Baltimore wasn't that good. Baltimore, Tennessee wasn't good. It was a little bit more old school than anything. Tampa Bay versus the Saints wasn't good because the Saints looked really out of it and Drew Brees is done. So not only is this really should have been the narrative, but no one wants to go to this extreme. This is a season where one old man killed another old man to be Highlander because Tom Brady at 43 goes and wins the Super Bowl. Brees doesn't do anything with it, right? Instead, he played so badly that it caused him to retire as Tom goes to get ring number 7. There's just nothing entertaining about it. So with basketball, even when the Cavs came back and beat the Warriors, being down 3-0 and then come out to win the full 7. Yes, I understand there was some chicanery afoot. We get that, but that's all sports. And the flags really just killed it. And I don't know. It's so weird because everybody's a referee, even though people who aren't referees. But I was playing like, how they say backdoor driver or backseat driver or whatever. Yeah. That's how I felt Sunday night. And mind you, partially is they changed the rules so damn much that I don't know what's a rule anymore. I don't know what holding. They recently just changed what a catch is, even though years ago what was disputed as a non-catch is now catch. But it was so unsatisfactory. And then I look into the pass interference call, I don't know if it was Jadavius Ward or who was it that got called on Mike Evans, even though Mike Evans was nowhere near the ball.
Yep.
But they're
It was
saying
like twice. There were like two of them where it's like, okay, that is not a catchable ball
whatsoever. But it looks like he was just kind of like falling down. And I'm like, well, where's the push off? And then I have like two friends who are like, no, I see it. I'm like, do you? Or do you want to just make me feel inferior to you because I jumped on the bandwagon of it's not a flag, and then the other one saying it is a flag. And this goes back to the fact that this is why didn't you push last year to be able to review these things, and this is why shouldn't we take away? Because if it wastes time, the Super Bowl's long anyway. But wouldn't you want this is why these rules come into play. Wouldn't you want the most important game to have the capability to review all these things? TV time be damned, because everybody's paying to be on your TV anyway. But it was just unsatisfactory, and for anybody, and I'm gonna agree with Mike Golick Jr. on this, which is rare because I never really name quote a different analyst or whatever. Anybody who says this is on Patrick Mahomes because of statistics, looking at you, Stephen A. Smith, because he said, we can't regard against this when there was a blowout on his record. One, he doesn't play all positions, and then two, the man was just making the greatest non-plays I have ever seen in football history. And the fact that Byron Pringle, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce all let him down is undeserving. If I say AJ Styles can get a 5-star, or not, I wouldn't say 5-star, but a 4-star match out of me and my buddy Tony in a handicap match with a broom as a weapon to help us, I also believe that Patrick Mahomes can get you, me, and Andrew, and BU, a Super Bowl ring at least to get to the Super Bowl, because he's that damn good. He can get me a touchdown pass. I don't even have to run around. He'll just be like, hey, just follow it. It's okay, Charles. I know you're 5'7" and you have busted legs. You're going to catch this ball. He can put it in my hands. And it's up to me to do it. Now, I will say this. In defense of all those calls, that Chiefs defense, they look like they rested on their laurels because the discipline was just not there. The pass rush was not there.
Yeah.
So it was a tale of two games where I would say the first half was like, what the hell, refs? And use every little Facebook meme that's out there about Tom Brady bringing all his Patriot friends, a.k.a. the refs, to help him in Tampa. And then the second half was just like, Kansas City played a really disappointing game. I just felt like a father who's, just talking to his kid about getting a D in technology. But it just wasn't enjoyable, man. And if they think our culture is very, we always have to look at our phone during every bit and segment, they're right, because of snooze fest games like that, where either there was enough time to prepare, there was too much time to prepare, because I think that sometimes, depending on who you talk to as a coach, a concern of too much rest makes you rusty. And just the fact of, we kind of changed certain rules that would have benefited it, and it's terrible. Or maybe the fact that the Weekend had a 25 plus minute halftime show and the guys got out of it. Maybe the Weekend jinxed them. I don't know. Do you think that's Patrick Mahomes' jam? But let me ask you this, Francisco.
Oh, boy. Yep.
7 rings. 7 rings for Mr. Tom Brady.
What are you going to do? He's good.
I'm going to do this just because I have to.
Put a damn statue outside.
But
I bet the Buccaneers are going to retire his number. Watch them do it.
So,
watch them do it.
You know how there has been requests for Jerry West to not be the logo anymore, right?
Yeah.
They want to put with Mike. Does Tom Brady get something named after himself? Because I was talking about this with my friends, because my friend Houdini had
Is the Super Bowl MVP
over.
award named after anybody? I don't think so.
It is.
You might as well.
And I think it should be. I'm just saying, the guy's had it 5 times. No one, if we had a crystal ball, would even come around to half of that straight without being a player leading into it, because they get MVP. And mind you, there were some of them that were just jokes, that he shouldn't have had it. Yeah. I think the one where he beat the Falcons.
It's called the Pete Rozelle Trophy. That's what it is.
Well, it needs to be called the Tom Brady Trophy.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you name it after. You can't just name it after a commissioner. I get Pete Rozelle and whatever, but it should be named after a player.
Yeah, and my thought process is that it's about his legacy. His legacy spans 2 decades. It was probably longer than what Pete Rozelle has given. Contributions to the game, to 2 teams now. He's not an ambassador to the sport, I would say. Granted, I don't know much about his charity work. I know about his certain political affiliations, which he's allowed to support if he wants. I don't really care. But it's more about everything to it. But to get that 5 Super Bowl MVPs, the only one I can think of is when James White should have won it against the Falcons, because he was literally catching every ball that year when they were coming back. But I digress. And I think Wes Welker also got 1 year. One of my friends was like, "Oh, it should have gone to Gronk." I'm like, "Yeah, no." Like when you saw how he threw that ball to Antonio Brown for that third touchdown was the nail on the head of why he should have been the MVP, because it was put in a place that there could not even be a pickoff. It's like he learned from looking at Russell Wilson's pick that he had to Malcolm Butler, like, don't throw high, throw low, because that was perfectly placed in a position where there was no chance. It was either going to be a drop or it was going to be a touchdown. There was no in between. And it was an efficient offense. And it was one of those weird Super Bowls where none of the studs on either team really did anything on offense. Mike Evans only had 1 catch for 31 yards, but he was a distraction.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin had like 2 catches for 14 yards.
All the holding calls, all the pass interference were when he was throwing to him. That was what was going on.
And part of me feels too is there should be like a consideration for a defensive player, like most valuable defensive player in the Super Bowl, because Vit Vea was everywhere. Ndamukong was everywhere.
Yeah.
I understand the injuries, but it's still impressive, to say the least, of what a guy on a team can do, because it was a well-played game on both sides of the ball. Yeah. Offensively, it wasn't just the Brady show. It was like they're stuffing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They're making sure that Tyreek Hill, Antoine Winfield Jr. I need people to just let young men enjoy the game and realize that Tyreek Hill asks for it sometimes, straight up. So if the worst thing that can happen is someone giving you the 2 sign, which to me is deuces, but I'm a little old, let's not poo-poo on him, because here we are with these, I would only imagine, these like middle-aged men who's like, you need to learn how to play and respect the game. I'm like, trash talk is part of the game. There's no greater trash talk than one of the top paid receivers getting blocked out by a rookie in Antoine Winfield Jr. And I know Tyreek went 773, but a lot of those were just garbage time stuff. The only receiver who did anything examining receiver is Travis Kelce. That's kind of the problem with the Eric Bieniemy show. But you had a thought. I really interrupted because I wanted this whole mainframe, but you tell me and go from there.
The Buccaneers defense, if you could have given them the MVP, I would have given it to them as a collective whole. Yeah. What a fantastic game plan. Their coordinators and everything that they set up to stop the Chiefs. And then, of course, the Chiefs, once again, had a hand in not doing anything. The receivers not doing anything for Mahomes. So that is part of it. But the other part is they made Mahomes' life miserable. Absolutely miserable. The fact that Mahomes was making some of the throws that he was making, in and of itself, it talks about his talent. But, of course, any other quarterback, it's stopped. They are done. They are gone. And that's what the Bucs did. It almost seems like the first time they won the Super Bowl was basically the defense is doing everything against the Raiders, and essentially this is what happened again. Once again, their defense wins the championship for the Bucs. And yeah, man, it's insane how little the Chiefs were in it. They just got 3 field goals. That was it. That was all they could do.
And you want to know how I felt like I knew they were going to lose that game is when they decided to go for that 3rd field goal right before the half.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, they're not playing to kill, And I know that sounds very grotesque in our world, but it's a mentality that you need to have. You need that killer instinct. Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, they have that killer instinct. Byron Leftwich, as that coordinator, has that killer instinct. They went and they got the touchdown on the last play of the game, and it's like, or not the last play, but basically the last drive of the first half, and you knew they were going to, because that was their goal, was to get it. And then that's the AB play. And you're like, okay, and they played conservative all the way. Or was it the Leonard Fournette touchdown run? I don't remember. But it makes you kind of hate the game. Now, here's a more fun question for, the sassiness in me, because when you talk about who should be hired as coaches or not, does that affect another year of Eric Bieniemy being a coach at some point? Because that was something even I talked about in the blog, and we've talked about in the past, how it's a crime that this man doesn't get a coaching job whatsoever. And then you see like this game kind of play out, and I feel that would really severely impact him, at least for another year and a half. Now, some people might say, nah, Charles, it's one game, but one game is really all you need, and you've had an additional 2 weeks to plan out, and it looked like it wasn't planned out because everything was screen, draw, run, screen, draw, run. Oh, Tyreek Hill is blocked, so we can't throw downfield. Well, be creative. Do something else.
He'll get his chance. I think right now it's just a matter of maybe teams will see like
being too good to get interviewed.
No, maybe it's is it Mahomes? Is Mahomes the reason why he's doing well? Is that the reason? That could always be one of those. Yeah. Like maybe teams want to wait and see. Because I don't think anybody would one bad Super Bowl, after years of some success here. I don't think that will.
Well, I would say that, but then I would raise you Brian Dabble, who I believe, or I'm sorry, Darrell Bevel. I don't know. I know his name, but Bevel, who was the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks that year, where they went to throw for it. I know Pete was like, I'll take it on me, because that's what leaders do as coaches. They take that thing, but the offensive coordinator is still calling that play.
That's like a disastrous.
And Darrell never.
That is just
it is.
I don't think that's even on the same level as making that decision. That
for all things relative, you take everything as a whole, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I there's so many teams out there looking for the next big thing with coaches. I don't think it'll affect them whatsoever.
And though a lot of people got hired that have not proven their salt. Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell just talked a talk that was very frat boy 1970s. And then Stephen Culley for the Ravens, getting hired from the Ravens to Houston may work, may not work, and he's kind of stuck in the Deshaun Watson bind. And then a lot of the other ones kind of felt like false promises. And my concern is that for the I guess the newer coaches or the coaches trying to get hire their coordinators or have at least one stop goes, Bruce Arians came out of retirement, quotation marks, he just wanted out of Arizona, and showed that there's longevity for coaches who have been tenured before. So maybe you don't get that opportunity, which maybe also raises the fact that Adam Gase gets a third try somewhere. Who knows?
God. Please, God.
Right? Because imagine just going and say, it's the New York Jets. Come on. I really feel like that would be his job interview, wherever he goes next year, whether it be in college or the pros. Come on. It's the Jets, man. Nobody is good because time away makes you look good. How do we know? Because Todd Bowles looked good. Todd Bowles is now a Super Bowl winner with Tampa because he's their defensive coordinator, and he was a Jets guy, and he had one good year. Just saying. Other food for thought.
Well, let's go on with that. I got a segment here ready to go. Now that you mentioned,
let's do it.
Now that you mentioned Bruce Arians, I would like to.
Is a guy who wears best hats?
No. He's a real MVP. I'm just gonna say that right now.
He is a straight up real MVP.
I'm gonna say
we should segue this to a You Go Girl as well.
Oh, we're gonna get that too. No, I had the whole thing planned out. No. This is what's going down, man. He's the real MVP, all right. Not only the oldest coach to ever win a Super Bowl. That's one thing, but the fact that his staff is just primarily made out of, or at least the heads, African Americans, the assistant coaches, the top assistant coaches. So he's had a history of this. This isn't his first rodeo. No, he's had a history of giving minorities and women the opportunities to coach in the NFL. He was when he was in Arizona, he gave a woman the first position as a coach in the NFL. He's got 2 women on this staff as well. And that's where I was going to go with the You Go Girl, Charles. I was ready for this. So why didn't
we actually care about diversity over here at Sports Goofs?
Yeah. Well, an aside, Sarah Thomas, who we have highlighted before as a female referee, she was the first ever to officiate in the Super Bowl. So there's one.
You go, girl.
Yeah, one You Go Girl. 2, the 2 women on the staff of Arians, Locust and Maral Javadifar, the first female coaches to win a Super Bowl. Last year, we had a first female to coach in a Super Bowl. But this one, or these 2, the first to win. So let's learn a little bit about these 2. All right, Locust, assistant defensive line coach. Little history here. Alum from Temple. She decided to start getting into football around like age 40. Started playing in like a rec league and stuff like that, and then became more interested. Then became an unpaid assistant coach for 9 years at her high school. And then one day she was like, man, I'd really love to move on up. And so she went to some NFL coaching seminars and things like that, and then coached in the semi-pros. coached in the AAF, Alliance of American Football, and then one of her, I think her ex-boyfriend from a long, long time ago had some connections in the NFL and was able to get her to land a job with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And lo and behold, she wins the Super Bowl with Bruce Arians. So that's her. And then Javadifar, assistant strength and conditioning coach. She's from Iran, where women were not even allowed to watch sports until very recently. Even then, it's a very risky proposition. There was very serious things that went on over there, especially with this one woman that died because she wanted to watch a soccer match in Iran. So there's a lot of bad things that have happened in that nation, and so she and her mother encouraged her in watching sports and things here. Went to Pace University, was a college basketball player, then earned her doctorate in physical therapy, and well, lo and behold, she gets hired by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and wins the Super Bowl. So those are our two You Go girls. Given an opportunity.
Congratulations.
Bruce Arians, our real MVP. So that's what went down, man. That was just, yeah. And Bruce Arians also
big.
with the Temple, yeah. So that was a nice coincidence between him and Lori Locust right there. Yeah, no, it's huge.
And that's big, man, because I don't think the joke, I guess is a joke, but it's not a joke, but the concept sometimes of all sports, but I always felt football was the whole boys club kind of thing. To even get into a position that is paid, because as you already heard from one of them, they were not paid to do things. They did because they loved the game and they wanted to be better. And to have an opportunity to have it showcased, because you need those kind of publicity. It's been a good, and I say publicity is not in a sarcastic way, but because there's certain things that might not have been highlighted years ago. You know what I mean? On the news, on the media, on the entertainment, for even consideration of the job. And you look at how 2020 and 2021 kind of worked out in football with you had the kicker in college football. I forgot her name. Please forgive me. Already, you had
Sarah Fuller.
Sarah Fuller. The Miami Dolphins, I believe, got a female GM, or am I thinking the Marlins?
The Marlins, Kim Ang.
Kim Ang, yeah, but that's still something, even different sports, but it's there. And now you have Sarah Thomas officiating. And the thing is, this is big because who do you know in officiating for football? I know Ed Hockley and I know Jerome Booger. That's it. One because of the muscles and one because he looks uncomfortable about the poop himself.
Ed Hockley, because of the muscles, and I think his son is also now a ref because Hockley retired, so we got his son, but his son is not as swole as his dad. So,
his son looks like Scrappy Doo.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's what he reminds me of.
Yeah.
So this is big because I'm looking for the next step of a bigger coach, offensive coordinator. If there's plenty of coordinators who never played the game, why isn't that you can also transition to a female offensive coordinator? So that's where I'm interested in. I'm really hoping that basketball can break through, and Becky Hammond at least does get some considerations, because what I find that Popovich and Arians have in that common is they're not doing it for the publicity. They're doing it because they know that these are intelligent mind leaders and people who can hold themselves and the organizations that they work for accountable. So it's very exciting stuff, because you talk about new blood. You already have an issue with the Rooney Rule, but now I want to kind of see what your equivalent might be in 10 years for the NFL if you could bring on a component to at least interview female coordinators, female coaches for positions, even though it's obligatory and they always seem to get subverted either way because the Rooney Rule is kind of fractured for both sides of the argument. That might be something to encompass as well, not just minority, but also opposite gender.
Mm-hmm.
But that's maybe a 2030 conversation that we have on episode. What do you think will be in 2030? 1005?
Oh, Lord.
I mean, we're at 93.
There's like 52 weeks. We take off like 2 months usually.
And then you have to have like the special events, and then the breakups that will happen out of egos. I can't wait to.
That's a funny question because like I was reading, I read some stuff on like podcasts and stuff, and how you get more listeners over time and things like that. So, it's unless you have the instant success where you get the big person to promote you and stuff, you just gotta wait and see. But some podcasts have lasted for like more than 10 years now, and they're on like episode 1000, what have you. I'm like, whoa, that is a lot. That's a lot of talk. for sure. So I don't know. We're about to reach 100, and that's taken us like 3 years.
And we're bringing back an OG, kids.
Yeah, yeah. So soon enough we'll have 100, and yeah, we got a few episodes to go from there. But yeah, we'll see. New blood, especially new blood, with women in sports, and at some point, both of them kind of acknowledged the significance of them winning a Super Bowl, but both of them were like, we hope it doesn't becomes like a thing where you have to highlight it to get people to notice, where it's just like a normal occurrence, and it's not anything that's any more noteworthy than anybody else winning the Super Bowl, But we'll get there. It'll take time. Like everything, it will take time. All right. Well, Super Bowl commercials, Charles. Let's get into how uneventful it was. And I don't know if this was because of the virus, affecting filming and what have you. I'm sure that had something to do with it. But
I would imagine
one of my issues is, like, okay, you have the virus and things like that, and that made you have to not film certain things or film with certain celebrities or what have you. But at the same time, you have animation. You have different means of conveying some stuff. And I just feel like there's a lack of creativity from people. And people who earn the big bucks, when I look on YouTube and all types of other areas, and there are people who don't have the big bucks who just do things way more cleverly and way more awesomely, especially with animation. Animation, like amateur animators out there, there's tons of them. They're all trying to make their mark there, and I'm sure that that you can find a few of them that can give you something special, give you something real special and that you could have posted on Super Bowl Sunday. But no, we got some duds, like a ton of duds, just a ton of duds. There's that Matthew McConaughey one where he's flat, and then he eats the 3D Doritos, and he becomes 3D.
That was kind of like my favorite one, because when you're choosing poop covering gold and poop, it's going to be bad, but something's still going to look a little pretty compared to some of the other stuff.
I don't know. It was just to me. That was an one. I'm like, okay, he's flat, sure. I've played Paper Mario. This doesn't affect me. This doesn't.
But it made me aware of something, because I did not know that there was 3D Doritos back, or they were still in existence.
BU just put why are 3D Doritos a thing again? Question mark. Well,
now they are.
For people like me and Charles, BU, people who, especially Charles, who sacrifices himself to eat these monstrosities.
Well, fellas, have you ever had Doritos 3D? They're really good. It's if you like Bugles or those kind of chips that they have. I'm not a big fan, but that's basically the Doritos version of it. It's not my weapon of choice when I'm buying chips. Hell, Doritos sometimes isn't my weapon of choice. It depends. I'll make a list. On the next draft that we have, I think we did our best cereals. I think we got to do best chips. That, put that into the future for us, because I think that's definitely a fun entertainment. But one, they're good. That was a fun commercial. Well, not fun, but that was something that was remotely enjoyable. What was missing, and it has been part of because of what we're living in the times, is the lack of the movie commercials or little mini trailers.
Yeah.
And I think it's also because I'm very resistant toward anything Disney based. So I don't care for Falcon and Winter Soldier, even though I want to see that portion. I don't care for WandaVision, even though my friends are yelling at me for it to watch it. It's because don't tease me. The whole thing about the Super Bowl commercials is, not the 10-second snippets, because that's a ripoff. But if you're going to do something and say, oh, watch the full trailer online in 2 minutes, I'm like, you can just play the 2 minutes now. Like, you're not spoiling anything. These movies have been resolved. We can see what's going on with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I need to know now. The only thing you had was, once again, Disney, because Disney is not going to miss making their money. That's why they had that. That's why they had Ryan, they had Last Dragon, or whatever it's called. I don't know. I don't care for Disney. I'm just very like that to them lately, because I feel like it kind of feels like a Vince McMahon wrestling thing where they're just telling me it's good, but I know the product is
the over Disneyfication of our society does make me cringe and worries me, You got the Star Wars thing, and everybody watching Mandalorian. I don't give a crap about
Man.
Star Wars. I do not give a crap about Star Wars, and it's been. I've seen some of the movies, and it just doesn't appeal to me. And people go nuts for it, and I don't think it's as great as people think it is. Disney makes you think it's greater than what it is. Right? The Disney remakes, all of them are trash compared to their originals. We all know this. We all know this very, very well. And yeah.
See, I enjoy Star Wars, but the last trilogy has left such a sour taste in my mouth. And even though I've watched clips of The Mandalorian, I couldn't get past that pilot because also fan service is not going to be what I want to watch. I like fan service. That's what you get the YouTube clips for, but you're not giving me good content. And I understand the base of The Mandalorian to where I would probably enjoy it, but Disney has just, Disney's fake. You know what Disney is? Disney is, that friend that you had that went off at summer camp and, they came back and they had a whole lot of plastic surgery. They're not authentic anymore. You don't love them anymore.
No.
That's what it is.
It's a nostalgia factory now. That's all it is. It's just playing on people's nostalgia.
And what happens is I'm going to even go further. Disney World's boring. I said it. I went there, the last time I went there was a couple of years ago because they went as family thing as a joint birthday because we had family coming down, and it's too hot. It's expensive. I feel bad for the people who are trying to study to get into Juilliard and they have to be dressed up as Mickey Mouse. I have a friend who works at the Disney Call Center and it's basically abusive. And the thing is, it's just, I know my problem is I'm too stuck in reality. I know it's not real. And I would hate to have a child and guy, or maybe you'll agree with me. I want my kid who's 4 years old, it's Goofy. I'm like the little child. I have to give you. I must have smart lineage. I would throw you words. You're dumb. That's a person who's getting underpaid minimum wage to dress up as Goofy.
You understand how blasphemous we're being right now on Andrew's birthday, Mr. Orlando, that we're trashing Disney right now.
That's why we're doing it. Wait till we get to talk about Tampa, because BU and Freddie, if you're there, and anybody who watches the show actually knows the confines of how much Andrew loves Tampa and Orlando, and we're gonna say this now because it's gonna be a sneak preview for next week. All Francisco and I did, but it's basically trash Andrew about Tampa Bay the last 2 days.
You don't even want to see the group chat. I was.
Oh, it was great.
Let's hold on. I want to get into this now. Let me get into this right now because he cannot come in to defend himself. Oh, he could. He could pop in if he's at. I don't know.
Look, I'll say right now,
if he's at Chili's right now,
Orlampa that much,
or actually
you love Orlampa that much to come in on this for your birthday, so I respect it. But get into it, Francisco.
If he's at Flanagan's right now, he's listening. Look, all right, I get the Champa Bay. I understand. All right, but do not lump the Tampa Bay Rays into this. Do not lump the losers into this. Do not lump a franchise that is actively destroying their team without winning a championship. Right, the Marlins at least won something before they broke everything apart. So you can't trash me for that. But do not lump St. Petersburg, not even Tampa, into this. Champa Bay. I'll give you the Bucks. I'll give you the Lightning. All right, Mickey Mouse rings. I don't adhere to that thought. You won the damn thing. But don't be like, oh, they made it to the finals. You still lost. All right.
Well, to give the listeners
nobody
some
cares
backdrop.
about the American League Championship trophy. I don't even know what it looks like.
Name me 3 players on the Rays. That's what I'll say right now. To give listeners backstory on this, Andrew, and this is 10 at night. This is Sunday. Yeah. Texting is don't you guys think that Tampa Bay is the table of championships or the city of championships compared to LA? Francisco are a resounding hell no.
No.
Because the storylines were better. That I rooted for the Dodgers too. The players are better. And plus they're perennially contenders.
Yeah.
Because if you want to, okay, so let's be even mean. He's not here. We love you, Andrew. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Sorry, go
ahead.
If
you want to be the one hit, you're good. If you want to be the one hit wonder table, that's definitely you, Tampa Bay.
This is just what happened in 2002 and 2004, except it happened in a more condensed thing because of the virus. That's it. All right, we all remember when the Bucks won in 2002. That was fun. What happened after that? Nothing for 2021. Team with the longest drought at the time, and they finally win the Super Bowl. Okay, cool beans. Then what happened with the Lightning? The Lightning 2004. Oh, it was unfortunate. They had the lockout season, what have you. Then they came back, and the team was so devastated that they needed to change their ownership. It got really bad, and they had lots of bites at a Stanley Cup a few times, and they failed until now, until it took the virus for that to happen. But I'm not going to knock them for doing that. They won it. Right? It was probably one of the hardest championships to win. But do not lump the Rays into this. He showed us the T-shirts, and they had the little Ray burst of sunshine, whatever, on there. I'm like, no, erase that. They lost. They're the Dodgers.
Well, the ones on the left were the Ray colors, the blue and white.
Yeah, exactly. What that does? Well, I don't know if it might have been the Lightning. No, it was the Lightning colors. It was blue and white. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the Lightning colors. But the Rays were in on it. I'm like, no, you guys lost. They lost. The team is practically in Montreal at this point. They got rid of their best pitcher that their manager failed to keep in the game. In a deciding game, by the way. You don't take out your ace when that happens. They are losers. Yeah, the Rays do not deserve it. And yeah, you want to create the title town thing. This is not going to be the rivalry between LA and Boston. This is not. If it becomes, wow, the 2020s are going to be a really awful decade if it's Tampa versus LA every season between the two cities. Look, Los Angeles, more recent. All right, you had the Lakers. Okay, fine. The Dodgers, they after spending like what $2-3 billion, finally got themselves a ring. Yeah, finally got themselves a ring. Okay, and you want to look at the past decade? The Kings won 2 championships, so we can put them in there. Right, and then the Rams made it to a Super Bowl, but they still lost. They still lost to who? Tom Brady. Okay, fine, but still. They still lost, so we're not going to lump the Rams in there. Nobody cares about the Chargers. The Angels aren't even in Anaheim, so let's not consider them. If you guys don't consider the Anaheim Ducks, you ain't considering the Angels just because they don't know where they live. You shouldn't have them. But no, Tampa, keep Champa Bay. I'll be fine with it. It's okay. Make your T-shirts. Make your unlicensed. Definitely copyright infringement T-shirts. Make them. Go ahead. But don't lump the Rays in there. They lost. They lost in 6. Me and Charles, we understand the pain of losing. Our beloved Heat lost last season. They lost in 6.
Yeah, but that's last year. We don't care anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I've healed. I moved on.
I didn't even when I looked at the Heat game, I'm like, oh, we don't even realize that they added the extra conference championship banner. It's like, oh, okay, those are different numbers, all right, but we're not gonna acknowledge it. Oh, hey, Derrick Rose is with the Knicks.
I want him. Man.
I know.
Like, was that not my push? And it was for like nothing.
But he's with Tibbs. Come on, you can't be.
He has no knees now, so it's like, what service are we doing here?
Okay. Oh, that's
for a Thibodeau.
We'll go on that tangent later. But yeah, he's coming out. Oh.
But Andrew will get his chance to defend his position next week. It was the funniest thing in the group chat because I'm not gonna lie, I was looking forward to talking about the segment, and then it was his birthday. I'm like, But Andrew is, because here's the thing, like, I'll forget about the 305 in a heartbeat. I'm like, I've moved around a lot in my life. Yeah. Andrew does not. Yeah, exactly. You have moved around a lot of your life. Your 305 loyalty is like, fine, we're just like, hey, it's whatever. Yeah. But Andrew is going to be Orlampa until he dies, and that's the true ride or die.
You know what brought it out of me was the fact that for the last couple of seasons he's saying like he was like a casual Jaguars fan, and now he jumps on the Bucs bandwagon.
Well, that's the thing we forgot to tell him. So in the group chat, we just get a text that's like, "Is it too late to change the bandwagon to the Bucs?"
And we talked about this last week.
Andrew, here's the thing. Andrew should really be if his equivalent is a wrestler, he's got to be in the 4 Horsemen status, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, because he loves chasing gold. That's what he loves. He loves them championships, and I get it. But we literally talked about it, and then when we got that, was like, all right, we ripped it open. So here's a fun fact to put on the show. You guys know my second team was Tampa Bay because growing up, I didn't have a football affiliation, and then it came into like Tennessee, but I lived in the Polk County area, and that's proliferated with the Tampa Bay Bucks. It wasn't baseball because I was a Yankees fan since I was 6 years old, and baseball is you know who you are, who you want to be with. I don't know if you can get a secondary team. I think football is kind of easier, but that's kind of what I was around. I remember being in that environment, 8 to like 12 to like 13. Even when they won their title back in 2003.
Yeah,
But
02, yeah.
2002. But I at least I always solidified with Tennessee, and then what pushed me off from even kind of I went to Bucks games last year. You know this. You've seen the photos.
Yeah.
You know where I've been. I have a hat. Like it's there a secondary. But the Jameis Winston thing, can't do it. Rapist, can't do it. Slander me. Sure, send it out. There's some stuff in there. The Uber accusations, and then Tom. Like it's Tom Brady, so it's like, it would be the wrong time to get back into it. You know what I mean? Like 3 years from now, maybe we can solidify that as a secondary team and build upon it, but not this year.
I can accept it as, okay, I can accept people having an AFC team and an NFC team. I can accept that. It's just like in baseball, American League team and National League team. I'm without an American League team because my AL team used to be the Astros.
You can't do that.
They need to cleanse themselves of their sins in order for me to get back there. But regardless, it might be. I mean, maybe the Mariners because Ichiro was there for so long. Nintendo connection.
But then Mariners ruined that whole thing, so you can't do it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, regardless, the fact that Andrew made his decision immediately after the Super Bowl and the winning, and you just see the Champa Bay thing, he wanted to get in on it. Giving us all the excuses, and I told him he didn't even file the proper paperwork. All right, the NFL bandwagon paperwork. There is a form, and you have to fill it out. You have to fill it out. Here's the Buccaneers version of that. There it is. There's the bandwagon transfer form. Just fill it out. You should have done it. You should have done it before the season started. I would have accepted it before the season started. But not immediately after the Super Bowl. No, my good man. Happy birthday, by the way, Andrew. We're sorry.
We love you.
Yeah, we do. This is coming out of love. We just care so much. I just didn't want. We usually have the same opinions with regards to bandwagoners, but to see you go down the drain, all right, I'm sure. You guys would have hated me if the Astros were the team I cheered for in the World Series. You guys would have hated me for it. But
I would have transferred I would be doing shows with John. My opinion on it. Like when I tell people I would have quit being a fan of baseball, I would have stopped the sport completely if the Astros wanted this. They could win it next year. It's whatever. I mean, I'm over. I get over stuff quickly. Yeah. I could not get over that. There was a lot of vehement hatred that ran through my body, and I would easily abandon a sport that I had loved since I was 5-6 years old, where you don't really know sports professionally like that as a kid. You just like it for the love of it because that is the culture. I was gonna tail back and go.
Okay, back to let's move it back to commercials. We're about to reach the halfway point anyways, but the other thing was the only other commercial that I liked the Blake Shelton, Gwen Stefani T-Mobile one. That one I don't even remember. It was the one where she was talking to the Maroon 5 terrible tattoo dude. And,
Nipples?
Yeah, Nipples. And he was like, and she was like, "Oh, I'm trying to get back in the dating game, and I'm looking for a guy that's not afraid of women or whatever, or, sensitive and things like that." And so he was listening in on her, and because they had like a bad network, that's the whole T-Mobile thing, like it was crappy connection, he was like hearing every other word, and every other word is basically this describing the country dude, Blake Shelton from The Voice. And so she was like, and so he sets them up on a date, the Maroon 5 guy, and she's like, Blake? This is funny. And the funny thing is, aren't they married or whatever? I forgot. So
they're together.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool how they made fun of that and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty funny. That one got me. I got a good chuckle out of that one. And then you had the Cheetos one with Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. Which
and
was,
Shaggy, who
yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
age whatsoever.
Exactly.
My goodness, man.
Yeah, and that's only because of the song that they tied it to. I think that was most of that nostalgia throwing in there as well.
Well, that and that 70s shows nostalgia.
Yeah,
It's one of those weird things that kind of gives me hope that one day Sarah Chalk and Zach Braff would just get together if you watch Scrubs, or Jim and Pam got married, even though they're all respectively married to their very handsome counterparts. But knowing that Jackie and Kelso got together in real life, it makes me have a little warm sensation in my heart. So it's a little bit of everything.
yeah. Yeah, and BU, let's see, most of these commercials seem to be playing on nostalgia. Yeah, that was a big thing. You know what the issue is now? It's hard for them because of the instantaneousness of things going viral now. That the Super Bowl commercial is no longer the thing for us to look for memes for.
Well, part of it is also you release them early. Because of these commercials, the last 2 years have been released early, so you can just know it's there.
Yeah, there's some teasing beforehand. Some of them release early anyways. But I think that it goes with that because, you had the Budweiser Was Up or whatever. That was before social media and stuff. And that was like the thing that people were memeing for like a year back then. Because that's how long memes used to last. They would last forever. And now, everything's so instantaneous and it's hard for these marketing companies to make something go viral, make a meme. Sometimes they're trying hard to make something a meme. And ultimately, the only thing that became a meme from the Super Bowl was the weekends
which are fantastic.
Yeah, the weekend, in that mirror room, whatever, just trying to find his way through. Yeah, and that was, those are funny. Those are really funny. And that was and I guess one last thing, Super Bowl halftime show. I thought The Weeknd did very well. I like his songs. They're very catchy, very, of course, pop and stuff like that. But and I thought the performance was good. And you know what I like the most about it? Because normally the Super Bowl halftime shows have like that gigantic group of like 1,000 normies and casuals that aren't even there for the game. They're just there for the concert and just to be in front of the stage, what have you. You didn't have that because of the virus. It's one of the good things about the virus, I have to say, is because you didn't have those casuals and normies there, and it allowed the performers to use the entire stadium and the entire field, really, to kind of have like a marching band vibe with the dancers and things like that. So you had the entire field worth of it. You already have a crowd. You don't need any more people in there. I don't give a crap about football. And the one thing I didn't like was that I couldn't understand what he was saying, but that wasn't his fault so much. Yeah, there was part of it where you couldn't even hear him. Yeah, it was sound. It was probably something with the mics or what have you, and something that was down. But regardless, I thought he put on a good show, and I like the fact that he used the entire field, and I think that's something they should do in the future. If an artist wants to use the entire damn field and not have a crowd there, and wants to do something special, then you can do all kinds of things with all these projectors and things like that. Go for it. I think that's what they should do. So that was I like the show. Some people hated it because they're boomers. I have no idea. I have no idea, or they just don't like his songs. But The Weeknd's a good old Canadian boy, so we can't fault him.
I mean, Blinding Lights, it's catchy, even though all his songs are about illicit drugs and sexual encounters.
Oh, yeah.
If you love the 80s, if you love anything about the 80s, you should feel at home.
Yeah.
Mind you, I didn't watch the halftime report or halftime show. I was at my buddy's, and he's like, hey, do you want to see my new VR that we tried, that he bought? I'm like, sure.
Which one? Which one did you get? Which headset?
I don't know. Which one's $1,000?
There's
probably the new one, the Oculus or whatever.
Oh no! The Oculus stuff is pretty cheap compared to the other ones. No,
there's one that he legitimately would have cost him $1,000, but he had like rebates and stuff like that.
But was it
interesting?
Was it like it had like a cord and stuff and everything, or?
It had like the cord. It had like the camera set up for distance and everything. It was very high tech.
I think it might be I think it might be the Steam Index. That might be it, because that one cost $1,000. But
maybe he likes it. My whole thing about VR is you don't have like real games for me to play, so I don't want to do that. Plus, I wear glasses, and even when I have the contacts, and it's one thing. But I spent my whole childhood being told that don't be too close to TV, and now this is my form of entertainment. There's some hypocrisy here.
Yeah.
I need somebody to tell me what to do with my life.
That's true.
I'm not good as an independent thinker.
I don't hear that anymore. I don't hear anybody warning of standing too close to the TV anymore. Maybe because we have a phone in our face now, or iPad.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I can have epileptic seizures, but I guarantee you, if I'm playing Tetris Effect, it's going to happen when I do it real up close, because that's how you'll do the first, set of games.
Yeah.
It's not those kind of games, Puyo Puyo and all that stuff. They're going to be easier to make as opposed to playing Hitman 3 or Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain, go play now on your Switch, Steam accounts, and everything like that, would kind of go from there. But it was an interesting experience. I don't know if I would ever pay $1,000 for anything because I'm super effing cheap.
That's the thing. That's
a devastator.
Yeah, I got the gaming PC and it's VR ready, but it's the one thing that I can't pull the trigger just yet. I've been trying to watch reviews. There's one guy reviewed this that I really like. He reviews the Steam Index. He reviewed that one. He was like, he spent $1,000 and he's like, man, this could have paid for my hospital bills when I eventually have to go and I'm laying on my deathbed and I'm gonna have regrets from buying this, because he has regrets after the honeymoon period. Hey.
Oh yeah, because you realize $1,000 is a lot more difficult to obtain in life. We ain't gonna get those stimmies all the time, kids.
Exactly, $1,000 plus you gotta buy the games on top of that. So
and they're gonna be
I heard
priced out.
There's one called like the HP Reverb or what have you. That one I heard is a pretty good one, but even that one costs like $600.
Yeah, that's I could just get a PS5.
That's almost as much as my PC. That's almost as much as my PC. I paid $700 for mine, and so and the thing is with the PC, at least I can put on the show like right now, or I can do work on it in the future if I ever want to do that. I'm not gonna do that, but
you don't even have the fads. Remember when there were 3D movies a couple of years back because of Avatar, and you would watch those in 3D? I mean, unless that comes back.
Yeah, 3DS, and then everybody turned off the 3D after a while.
Because it was so blah. My nephew had it, so when he was younger, he was like, I got Pokemon. I'm like, listen here, little boy. Let me try this out. And I was like, oh, this is aggravating. Yeah. Maybe because I'm old, but at that time I was like 25.
Yeah.
But I can't do it. But that was what I did. And I mean, the memes are good. And, for people who don't like him because of his music selection, it's a lot better than what you're going to have. But I don't know if it tops Shakira's little goat tongue of bad luck that she gave us.
Last year was fun. That was a really fun. Of course, it's, Latin music. It makes you move and it's upbeat and all that stuff. So that's one thing. But,
people who find mustard spicy would not be able to enjoy last year's music.
Yeah.
And people who think Adderall is only used for attention span would not like the weekend music.
If you find that spicy, don't even go near Thai food. Please do not.
Right.
That is some butthole destroying food. Anyways, on that note, let's head on over to our word from our non-sponsors, because we often highlight foods and stuff, and some of them may make our buttholes hurt, but it's all worth it in the end. People, places, things, concepts, what have you, that we've been enjoying over the last week. And Andrew's not here, so I got to think of something on the fly. But there's one.
I know something for him.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I do have one, and it's something that just... Guys, sometimes it's all about simplicity. Sometimes it's all about simplicity. And oftentimes the most simplest things are paired with other things that just kind of like, oh wow, why didn't anybody think of this earlier? And so over the last week, you guys know that along with my video game beating habits that I've been trying to instill in myself, and I've been doing pretty good with that, I've also been trying to get a little more culinary with my year at this point, trying to do things. And so, I decided, God dang it, I just want some pancakes. That's all I really wanted. I've been watching, I recommended the Kantaro Japanese show about food and desserts. And there's one episode there, and he's eating pancakes, and I'm like, damn it, man, I just want some freaking pancakes. I've been on this diet too, doing well with it, but sometimes the man wants and the heart wants what it wants. And I haven't made legit pancakes ever, but I decided I wanted a recipe. I wanted to make the nice, big, giant, fluffy pancakes, the fluffy hotcakes like they make it in Japan. And I found a recipe, allrecipes.com, and I botched it the first time. I botched it. I will admit that I botched it. All right, they're the fluffy pancakes, but I did botch it.
Well,
I didn't follow the instructions to a T. I did things.
It's hard to get perfection. You understand.
At one point, I had like this gigantic, like hard paste, and I'm like, "What am I supposed to do here?" And it was like, "You forgot to add the milk." Oh, and the milk was a journey because it took me an hour to find buttermilk here in Hialeah. Apparently, buttermilk isn't a thing down here, so that was a journey for me. I went to like 5 different stores. And ultimately, it was Walmart that had it. I'm like, of course, Walmart. One place I didn't want to go to. But apparently, they have everything, even in Hialeah. So I got my buttermilk, but I forgot to add it to it at the end. And in the end, I'm like, second day, I'm like, I got to do this again. I can't live with myself if I don't know how to make pancakes. So I decided, you know what? Instead of... Because the thing that messed me up the most, I burned a couple of them, is the flipping.
Oh.
Is the flipping part. That's what.
Do you not know the secret way to do it?
I just never did it myself. And it doesn't take long. Pancakes cook up pretty quickly, but I just never got the timing down. I never got the heat right. I just kind of had some. By the end, I had one that turned out well, but even then, I still messed up the batter. I messed up the batter. I just messed it up, so it didn't taste
the batter's
as well.
hard.
Yeah, so the second day, I'm like, I'm going to do this exactly as the recipe says. But I noticed that I had my arepa maker, and it's really not the maker. It's basically like an iron. It's like a waffle iron. I'm like, and I thought back to my old roommate, Michael, from Florida State, and he did this a long time ago, and he was like, he knew how to cook. He was the reason I know how to cook. He's part of the reason why. He's like, let's take that pancake stuff and stick it in there. I'm like, oh. And we called, ultimately, what it's called pancarepas. It's arepa-shaped pancakes. And the hard part with me with the batter is I didn't get it from a box. I made the thing from scratch with flour and eggs and butter and buttermilk and all that stuff. So that was why I messed it up. But I did it again, but with this Japanese fluffy recipe. Oh boy. I as Charles had said, I slutted up pancakes.
Oh yeah, you did.
I turned it into a dirty whore. And guys, I like going down on this said whore. If you are jumping into this show right now,
Sports Scoop Dark, brought to you by Charles and Francis. Every time Andrew's not here, the moral compass leaves.
We will
dunk. This is on you, man. You should have been our moral light here, our guiding light.
When Andrew is not here, we will go to the rated R. We will become rated AO. We will dunk on the city of Orlando at every point. But we love you, Andrew. Please come back and bring us back to anyways. Oh, guys, pancarepas. It's so simple. It's so simple. Just tiny handheld pancakes that are rounded, and you can fill them with stuff, with butter or maple syrup or jam or jellies or fruit, what have you. It's just so damn simple. I should have had a photo for it for you guys to show and have. I'm like, my God, I need to freaking trademark this. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do tonight. I'll see if I can do that. Either way, promo code Slutty Pancakes.
Slutty Pancakes. Batter me up. Okay, we're gonna go down.
Oh, that was a good one too.
we're gonna go down a dark hole. I'm gonna do the Andrew one. Yeah, right. Oh, so put it out there for people listening. Is it wrong to have stuff in the pancake or having toppings? What's better? Do you go nude with your natural pancakes? Do you have like the
Mm,
chocolate chip, the blueberry,
I,
whatever, or do
I
you have toppings like banana or strawberries,
well,
cherries, even?
when you have it, yeah, save it for
We
the
use right. We have to save it for the
Oh,
OnlyFans.
I should put
Easy.
it on the OnlyFans of me eating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll make some tonight. I gotta use the buttermilk. It expires pretty quickly, so I gotta make more. But yeah, no. You see, with the pancakes, it depends on how much do you love being a pig. Because sometimes having everything on top,
You already know that answer from my end.
it just
Know
feels.
what I eat for this show.
I mean,
for
you
my
might
own
as well serve it in a trough for me when it's on top, because it turns into this mush of just fruits and butter and pancake, and it doesn't even resemble what it
further
was.
ask a question because I gotta ask this. Are you a psychopath if you refuse to put butter or syrup together? Because there's some people like, no, I can't mix them. I'm like, what?
What?
How do you
What
think the
is
greatness
that?
of peanut butter and chocolate came around, or peanut
Yeah.
butter and jelly?
How?
You always go syrup, butter. To quote Dennis from It's Always Sunny, it's the implication. If you
Yeah.
have, and this is where you go to IHOP or anything, right? Like I don't. When I have pancakes at the house, and when I was coming back from the wisdom teeth removal, I had to have something soft. I bought a whole bunch of pancakes, so I went
Mm.
crazy on the syrup. I didn't go and say, "Let me find the butter," because house butter is just not the same when you go to IHOP or Denny's or International or what World's Best Pancakes, the other place that's
Yeah.
in there,
Waffle
Pancake
House.
House.
Waffle House.
Waffle House, or anything like that. It's like, okay, it's just there. But when you get those establishments and they have it, the implication is you mix that bitch up, man. And I don't care if it gets kind of runny nasty because it's good kind of runny nasty. It's not like a runny nose. It's runny pancakes with butter and syrup, and it gets
Yeah.
it gets it gets dirty. So
Mm.
you're kind of a psychopath
You,
taco there. And I agree with BU. Like I like me some blueberries in my pancakes, not chocolate chip. I don't know. I rather just do chocolate
Yeah.
syrup.
It's the contrasting flavor. The chocolate's just kind of like a very big contrast compared to everything else in the pancake. It's not bad. It's you put chocolate in it. I'll eat it. It's fine. But yeah, blueberries seem
FSP
to
have no
be
shame.
yeah blueberries seems to be like the like if you want. Look, you're already taking years off of your life, but you can at least feel like you're not when you have blueberries in it. It's like I got my fruit in
No.
here. I'm getting vitamin
I'm
whatever.
getting my antioxidants.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, yeah, put the damn butter with the maple syrup. You already know you're losing 5 years off your life. So what's another couple more? What's another couple more?
It's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, what's your non-sponsor?
So I'm going to do the Andrew sponsor first, and this
All
is
right.
something I feel Andrew would actually sponsor on. So I wish I could do it in his voice. I don't have that capability yet. One day will be. But Andrew's non-sponsor of the week is the city of Tampa Bay. How great!
Ooh.
We have championships.
Okay.
Tampa Bay Lightning, woo.
Mm,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, woo. It's great. We love it. There we go. Love you, Andrew. I felt that was funny. I'll
happy
take that.
birthday. That's your birthday
Happy
present.
birthday. You see, there you go. We don't like Tampa because it brings out the PTSD, and the water's kind of dirty. Water's kind of dirty.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a secondary Andrew one as a replacement that will go from there, but
Okay.
I'll go to my own. So, as you know, the Super Bowl was this weekend, and for some reason, we associate the Super Bowl with supposedly good commercials. Wasn't there? Great football games. Definitely wasn't there. But we also associate it with fattening food because for some reason, that day only is a day where we can have not one, not two, but like five slices of pizza, a whole bunch of Budweiser. I don't drink Budweiser. Not happening. I drink real alcohol. It's okay. And also a whole bunch of chicken wings. And we're not talking about three or four. We're talking about like, oh, Charles, are you going to eat 12? Well, you ordered 60 and I'm paying for a third. So yeah, I'm going to take my portion. So I've mentioned them before, but life is, a circle sometimes. And you sometimes come back to past non-sponsors. But my non-sponsor is Brews Room because my buddy Ben
Yep.
order of 60 wings,
Mm-hmm. They
and
got
I
some
was a
good
little
food.
tardy to the party, but I gotta tell you, even them like an hour like regular heat is still delicious. And it was medium, but seasoned a little bit. I usually like to get mine extra wet with hot sauce. Haha. Um, oh man, I'm just thinking about it now because you can never say no to a good chicken wing. And I think for a Super Bowl meal, I always kind of want that. I don't necessarily want pizza because pizza could be an everyday delight, boys.
If a restaurant
Definitely.
messes up chicken wings, you get the hell out of there.
Your day's ruined.
Yeah,
Like you
exactly.
can make compensation for
Yeah.
pizza. I've had Little Caesars. I will. You don't know the level that I'll go to,
Yeah,
to suffer.
after Professor Foley's Civ Pro exam, I went to Little Caesars and just got like, give me two of those $5 things, and I just angry hate ate them.
Yep, yep. Just give me a hot and ready. And look, here's the thing. The big knock on Little Caesars is the fact that they don't know when to put their sauce placements. But I remember when they had that bacon pie or whatever it was, like the big monster of bacon and heavy cheeses that you get for $8. I don't know what it's called. I ate it
Yeah.
because you know me, I fear no man. I want you guys when it comes to food. And I wish we were closer because we would just do a food spectacle of eating
yeah.
as a group together. It would
Oh,
be basically the PG-13 version of "Fuck That's Delicious" by Action Bronson on Vice,
Yeah.
which is I like that show. I really wish they actually spent more time talking about the place to eat instead of just eating because I'm like, where's the foreplay, man? You gotta give the background here. But I will go anything. But I look at food like I'm what's the guy's name who was chasing Moby Dick? Ahab.
Yeah.
I'm like, I come to conquer, you guys. I have no fear. My stomach, it either kills me or I kill it. That's why I think Ron Swanson is my spirit animal. But Brews Room, their chicken wings are always a go-to. When I was back in my Spanish classes about a year ago to learn, I would go there every Thursday night because it was like a couple-week course. So I would just go there weekly as my dinner. I would have a beer, and then I would just eat like 10 chicken wings, eat 5, take 5 home, and watch the Thursday night football. And I loved it. And it's been a bit since I've had it because I haven't really gone to the Palm Beach area. When I did go with friends, and I see them, we didn't go out or anything like that. I'm trying to be safe, and we went over to that house, but we got the platter. So I got that. It was good. I had like 12 of them. It was worth it. And man, it's just so tasty. So Brews Room is my non-sponsor of the week. Going into it, tasty promo code Super Bowl food.
Right.
And yeah. I guess Andrew's real non-sponsor coming into it because with every meal that you have, because we'll keep it Super Bowl related, we kind of see what we want to watch afterwards or anything like that. So I'll tell you what I've been watching in between because I finished TMNT, right?
Okay.
And
yeah, it made you
I'm
sad.
like, yeah, it made me very sad. I realized I am Bebop. No, I'm Rocksteady, and I'll tell you why in a small snippet of it. Fun story: when I did softball with an ex-girlfriend about 10 years ago, our nicknames on the team was Bebop and Rocksteady. But the final episode, Bebop and Rocksteady just kind of turn the corner and do some good stuff. Go watch. It's whatever. But his admissions of things that he likes because the world's ending, Bebop goes to him and says, "But you like professional wrestling. You like, this cartoon show. You love Mama." And he goes in his big Russian accent, and he goes and thinks about his mother and the Soviet nation behind him. He's like, "Mama!" So he goes and helps out. So I cracked up because I like pro wrestling and I love my mama and everything like that. But then the alternate world, because they went back to 1980s, the turtles there were like, "Hey, you can change your life. You don't have to be goons anymore." And then the Rocksteady over there goes and says, "I always want to be a personal injury lawyer," on the television. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm a rhinoceros. I've been kind of empty. That hit me hard, but working at home, I'm like, I need background noise. I need stuff to do there. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And I decided to restart an anime. And I had thought about it on the Super Bowl, so that's how I brought it together. But I decided to restart anime because season 4 came on Hulu because it's one of those few animes, and you can tell we're weebs, but it's one of those few animes where I like the dub more than I like the sub. I have gone back into My Hero Academia. And it kind of correlates with everything because I've been reading X-Men comics, and it's basically the manga version or the anime version of X-Men, even though X-Men did try to make a anime version on G4, not as good. It's still enjoyable. It's still endearing. I don't understand how anybody likes Bakugo. I think he's just he's just a dick, lack of a better word. Todoroki's good. I like Tokiyami. Deku's fine. Uraka's cool. Yazurozo, I wish, and I know this is against the counterculture, but I really wish Japanese anime wouldn't sexualize 16-year-old girls. You know what I mean? But it's weird when you put it all in perspective.
It's
scary,
Japan. It's their
Yeah, I
thing.
know. But hey, if I called out Tyreek and I called out Antonio Brown, I call out Japan too. Sorry,
Yeah.
Japan, I'm not trying to create a war with you. But sometimes you gotta do it. It's okay. But it's enjoyable for those who have not watched it. I don't want to say it's the next big thing. Um, be the Untitled Action Bronzer Show with the absolute best pure cosplay with this issue. Yeah, pretty much. It has its enjoyable. Basically, everybody has a quirk. It's like the equivalent of mutations, and then it's a story about one person, one kid who did not have a mutation, or not mutation, but a quirk, and is gifted the quirk from like the world's best hero who's coincidentally dying. Good action, endearing characters, great fight scene. Season 2 is just so good when they're fighting Stain. Man, you're right, guys. Got to really get into it. Season 3, I don't want to say season 3 was a letdown. It wasn't like something I remembered that well. So that's what kind of prompted the rewatching, because I've heard nothing but good things about season 4 when they bring in Overhaul. So I'm like, I'm ready. I like me a good anime, one that's kind of weird but also grounded. I'm also going to start your show as I work out, so that should be entertaining, because I'm thinking My Hero Academia will be my TV show during work, where I'm listening to the sound effects, and I'll do yours probably when I'm exercising. But that one's in sub, right? So I should probably
Yeah.
reconsider my life,
Yeah, you
because
got to read it, but yeah. Yeah.
it can be done. It can be done. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched it, but I always tell people give it a go. It's kind of been like the hot thing lately. I also have to finish Black Clover. That was really good. I only got to like 50 episodes there, but Hulu I think has a nice variety of anime too, and I've mentioned them before as non-sponsors. I know everybody's trying to find. Like Netflix is trying, but it's because they're making like their own stuff, but it's not good. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Americanized anime just never succeeds, but then that's a falsity because
I think it's kind of both. I think they
struggles?
commission some of them, and then some of them they're actual other established shows. There's one called Psyche K, which is pretty good, but that one was originally just an anime, and then I think they commissioned an extra season or an extra like 6 episodes, which is good because I like that show. So I'm hoping that's something that Netflix does. It's like some anime that could continue or have an extra few episodes, and they could just commission them. Like, yeah, these are popular. Well, of course, nothing that's serious. That's like, that might retcon some things or affect the storyline. It just depends on which anime, and some of them are mangas, and it all depends.
Well, they've done well with recommissioning, and I'll use that word, or redoing the old shows from like the 80s, like She-Ra and Voltron. Never watched it, but I've heard excellent things, and
Carmen
sometimes you can't go away from the masses.
Yeah, they got a bunch of stuff that they're doing.
But I'm excited for Netflix because they seem to be the only platform that knows how to do video game shows. Because Castlevania is actually really good. It's just short.
Yeah,
Sonic, and they're commissioning Sonic.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm ready for. Of course, they're gonna have a new voice actor. I think that might be the impetus of why this other guy just quit. Or I don't know if he quit or if he just kind of they're not renewing his contract. So
It probably just didn't renew his contract.
Yeah, no. And every time they do a new show, that's when they do a new Sonic voice, because like the Sonic X guy was when they changed the voice.
One of them was Urkel.
Yeah, and then it was Urkel, but that was like before he had a voice actor in the video games. So then he had the voice actor in the video games for like Adventure 1, 2, and then Heroes, and then they got the Sonic X show, and they got the new guy to start because they started that show, and then Sonic Boom started, and they got the new guy there, or what have you. Actually, no, they started in Sonic Colors. Either way, they were planning new shows and new things, so I think that's why they got this guy. Some people were thinking maybe it'll be the guy who voiced him in the movie, but I don't know how much he's asking for. I'm sure Ben Schwartz isn't that expensive,
John Ralphio is a gift, and we need to enjoy him all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. He did a pretty good job in the movie, so I wouldn't mind him being in the TV show. But we'll see.
I just want to know who they get as Knuckles, because I imagine he needs that deep voice. And listen, I know, and I might be overkill. I need Ving Rhames a voice Knuckles just for my humor.
We need some. Well, Knuckles is the most memeable of the Sonic characters, so we need somebody good. You got the Odo from Sonic Adventure that gets memed. You got Uganda Knuckles. The way.
We need that reference in there. They have Tails actually sound like Tails though, because I for this is how we're gonna date ourselves here. Do you remember the original Disney Sonic TV show?
Oh yeah.
where he was eating chili dogs and stuff. Not Sonic X or Sonic Adventures.
Yeah, that was Steve Urkel when he did the voice. Yeah, exactly.
Man,
Sonic says, you learn about sexual harassment from Sonic.
Yeah. But we definitely went off that tangent there. But yes, so My Hero Academia, if you want something that's pseudo grounded, but still about the typical hero origins, endearing characters, good cast of supporting characters, that's sometimes the problem. I would also say some of the problems with anime is that you like supporting characters more than you like the main characters. Goku, looking at you, Dragon Ball Z. I don't see that the issue here. Definitely watchable. I'll get to season 4, but I'll just do this as the rewatch for work if I'm doing, whatever I got to do. Background noise is waiting for time to go by, or if I'm exercising. And then, there's that. Promo code +Ultra.
All right. Cool. All right. We're finally.
Have you watched My Hero?
No, I haven't. I hear good things. I just haven't been able to sit down and do any episodes.
That's because you're charged with finding the real gifts, such as Kentaro.
Yeah. Well, that I've just been focused on video games. That's been my thing. I can't sit down and watch anime when I still gotta, play Metal Gear Solid or whatever. I just can't. Do both at the same time. Because sometimes you'll have a game. You can play a game with like something in the background, but I gotta pay attention. I can't pay attention to both, especially if I want to get the storyline. So, no, that's what's going on. All right, so finally in this back half, we go off on tangents. This is what happens when Andrew's not here either. We just start going off on anime and video games at some point. So I need Gottlieb's Goons right now. I need to do this because you did a non-sponsor for City of Tampa for Andrew, but I gotta make them Goons. Goons, all right?
This has really... Can you retell the episode as, like, We Hate Tampa?
Well, yeah.
That's really what it is.
God, man.
Like, if Andrew listens to it, he's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I'm 2 horrible days in the city of Tampa. Basically has colored me for the rest of the life of hating it. I'm just going to hate it. I've been back there once with my dad when we were gonna see the Rays, what have you, but it was fine.
Think about it this way: no one enjoys a prostate exam, and that's what it felt like.
Yeah. So no. Tampa is just it's a crappy city, and their virus protocols were severely lax over the last weekend. Severely lax. I'm not gonna go near that place. Sure as hell not. What have you. Believe what you want out there. I don't give a shit. It's still out there. You may not get sick. You might get it, and you won't feel a thing, but somebody else will. And you could be indirectly causing someone a lot of grief and pain in the future. So just be responsible. Wear the damn mask. Tampa, the second damn time you've been Goons. Stop winning championships.
Yeah, stop being good.
You guys
Give it to Miami.
Yeah, well, no, they're good every 25, 30 years. All right, 25 to 30 years. That's what happens with Tampa. That's all right. You guys aren't. You guys are beneath us. All right, South Florida. We still got more. Right?
You're not even in Florida. You're on the West Coast. Get the hell over, or close to the West Coast.
So, yeah, man, it was just not good. Not good for people there. I just gotta make them Goons. Other Goon, prior to the Super Bowl, Reid. Andy Reid's son.
Yeah, that was my setup to it.
Yeah, no.
I think it was beyond Goon. This is F up, man.
Oh no, this is absolutely just, I don't know, man. I can't even say unacceptable. It's got to be more. It's got to be a stronger word for this, man. Oh man, not good. Car crash, drinking before the Super Bowl. Drinking and driving. Before the Super Bowl. I know you got a ring last year, but damn, man, what the hell?
And he has a history of messing up too.
Yeah.
I remember looking at briefly. And here's the thing: I don't have to go into a backstory of why this guy's a Goon on history when he has done more than enough to justify it. But Andy Reid I like you. You seem like Charles in a couple of years where you get hot and sweaty over some pancakes. Um, but I want to know, do you have the cojones to fire your own kid?
Yeah.
Because if that happened at my job, I ain't coming back to work, right?
Yeah.
Happened at your job, you're probably not
And
coming
how,
back to work for
how
all of us
strong
all
is
around.
how strong is the nepotism in case
And we hate nepotism
and,
here.
and the thing is after this, and we don't know the severity of. I think nobody
I
has
think,
died yet.
yeah, but kids
But
are.
that's the thing. The kids are involved here. There's a commercial right now of drinking and driving with like a a sweet little girl, what have you, and this guy at the bar drinking and stuff, and then you see like the teddy bear on the road after the crash. Like that's literally what happened here. And
I mean, look, we didn't give Dante Stallworth a pass when he
Yeah.
ran over that person in the car.
Oh man,
And the league exercised their precautions. He was out of the league, what, a year and a half? Close to two? Or it was a year out and then no one signed him for a year.
Yeah,
then.
something like that. But
Cleveland did it. But yeah, it was a knee jerk reaction, too. And I read the article, and I know it wasn't like drunk driving causes crash. There was like a road issue where they were sliding by and then he connected. But then you read further, you're like, oh boy,
yeah,
this is no bueno.
yeah, no. You just got to know. He should have known better. Should have known better. So Britt Reid.
But
And
now this is also the pass. Are we going to let certain things pass? This is what we're talking about when there's not equitable distribution of punishments because players would get bigger stuff than an assistant and a son of a coach.
BU kind of feels same sentiment there. He feels like he's gonna, unless somebody dies, he's gonna end up keeping that job. But we'll see. I mean, what does he even do? What is he? Is he like?
I thought he was a linebackers coach or assistant coach. I know his defense.
Yeah.
I know it was that.
You can get another one of those. He doesn't have to be that.
You can hire a female coach. How about that?
Yeah,
My
look
whole
at
tribe
that.
comes together.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Let's tie it back to something nice there. Yeah. And my last goon. The NFL awards happen. I didn't really parse through. Aaron Rodgers won. Charles
Fraud.
won another MVP award.
What matters more to you, MVP or Super Bowl MVP? Because Tom Brady has a.
I think for Rodgers, it basically means he's going to end up in Canton in the Hall of Fame. That's what I think for him that matters more. He's got the one ring, and now he's got the 3 MVPs. That pretty much seals the deal for his legacy there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Drew Brees ever got MVP, so he's better than Drew.
Yeah, so he'll get the statue outside of Lambeau Field. He'll get the retired number, and he'll get the bust.
Do you think he's chasing Peyton? Do you think he's chasing Peyton? And I funnily enough, we missed the Hall of Fame stuff, or I don't know if you were saving to talk about it too.
Yeah, no, actually, I didn't even plan that either. But yeah, Peyton Manning made it in, so that was a no-brainer.
I'm gonna say right now. Good on Calvin Johnson, by the way, because there was some debates on that he should have been a surefire coming into it.
Yeah.
But what I will say is this. Brady might have most rings, but the hill I die on is that Peyton Manning's still the better quarterback. Yeah. I'm just going to keep it at that. And maybe we'll get Andrew in on that debate, too.
I'll say.
But I know we were going somewhere else on the Goons.
Yeah, I feel like Peyton had some good teams around him, but not as... I don't know. They're just as well constructed around him compared to.
Because he did what Tom did. Went to 2 other teams. Yeah. Played for 2 teams. Got them.
Yeah, that's true. That's it.
Arguably, he went out dying.
He was the first one to do it. Yeah, that's true. Exactly.
But 4 Super Bowl rings. Yeah. Really was the statistics. I think Drew. Listen, I'm gonna say this other unpopular opinion. The reason why Drew Brees' statistics were so high end is because that system literally called for it for 10+ years.
Yeah.
So food for thought on a different day.
Yeah. Well, back to this goon. NFL awards happen. Comeback player of the year, Alex Smith. Who's gonna deny that Alex Smith wasn't the comeback player of the year, right? There are 40 guys that vote on it. There were 40 guys, but one guy didn't. He got 39 of the 40 votes for a comeback player of the year, a guy who almost died on the football field, almost lost his leg,
Went 5-1 on a team that was not expected to do anything.
Went 5-1 on a team wasn't expected to do anything. Unfortunately, couldn't play in the playoff game for the football team. So how can you deny the man wasn't comeback player of the year? Well, apparently one guy did, and the one guy wasted his vote on Ben Roethlisberger.
Wow.
I wouldn't have put this guy on the list if it wasn't for who we voted for. We found out it was Ben Roethlisberger. Oh, man. This is the goon. This is the goon. Apparently the excuse, I don't know. I don't think anybody's out. I think it's anonymous probably, so nobody's been outed. But I highly doubt even the Steelers beat writer would even have Ben Roethlisberger. Did Ben vote for himself? Yeah, maybe.
You mean you voted for the guy who cost your playoff game against the Browns?
Yeah, that's true as well. But exactly. Ben Roethlisberger, he came back from Tommy John surgery? Pitchers do that all the time in baseball. They ain't nothing special anymore. That ain't nothing special at all. Maybe 30 years ago, coming back from Tommy John surgery would be something special. But not now. That's sheesh, man. ACL tears are almost becoming that. That's almost sheesh. People are coming back from stuff like that all the time. No. Absolutely no excuse for not voting for Alex Smith. And especially for wasting that vote on Ben Roethlisberger, all right? Sheesh. Every time, it's a damn good thing Ben Roethlisberger doesn't win any more Super Bowls. Because then he heads down to Georgia and does horrible things to women. All right?
Precisely.
Exactly. So, Ben Roethlisberger, noted asshole. Definitely.
We forgot one other thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's MVP or a goon, but we can kind of talk about it, but I figure it's a secret one. The streaker in Tampa.
Well, hold on. Well, we'll get to that. And by the way, the absolute contrast between the two individuals, Alex Smith and Ben Roethlisberger, right?
Alex Smith's a good guy.
He's a good guy. You see his family. He's a family guy. When he came back and he had a video of like his wife's taping and stuff, can you hear like crying and stuff? Dear Lord, wow!
Didn't he suffer the bearings of having to be coached by Urban Meyer, and he still came out as a good guy?
Gosh, man,
is Alex Smith the only great player who isn't a criminal from Urban Meyer? Let's see.
Oh boy. Yeah,
it's going to be fun when he's coaching this year. I'm just saying. The petty train is going to be strong.
I want to see that 30 for 30, the University of Florida for that time period. Yeah, the Aaron Hernandez era, Tim Tebow era. I want to see that. Okay, but yeah, man, that was just a straight up goon. You one guy. We'll find you. We will.
And is that a thing where you question whether or not there is any kind of objectivity in any kind of voting of that nature? Because you get that in the Year Association Awards, you get that in the Hall of Fame. It's like the same guy who didn't give Ken Griffey the unanimous vote because they felt everybody was going to get him in. I'm like, no, it's not the collective. Yeah. It's you being part of the collective. Just because that matters too.
Yeah, you're just trying to be a dick. Just be that one guy who's just a fucking dick.
Or that he didn't feel comfortable giving comeback player of the year to a team that got the playoffs but didn't have a winning record. But here's the thing: comeback player of the year does not mean yeah, but it doesn't have to be indicative of the team that had a winning record versus a losing record. It's the most useless statistic. You could have a guy who is on the 1-11 Jacksonville Jaguars get the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Don't deprive it of him because of the record.
Yeah, comeback player of the year. It's essentially, it could be for any reason whatsoever. You come back from a serious injury, or you were horrible for like so many years, and then suddenly you became like the best, like Jose Bautista. He was like a horrible batter when he was like a bunch of other teams. He heads to Toronto, and suddenly he becomes amazing because he changed a bunch of stuff. So that's comeback player of the year, or Jaromir Jagr. Just he won comeback player of the year in the NHL, essentially. And it was because, gosh, man, he was like 40 years old and he came back and it was like, wow, he's still doing stuff. So there's different criteria for it. There's all kinds of reasons for doing that. But man, Big Ben, of all people in the NFL, why What? I don't get Tommy John surgery. Really? Really?
Versus the man who's like, I might not even be able to see my kids.
Yeah. I may not be. I may have a prosthetic for the rest of my life. Woo! Yeah, that one pissed me off. That one legitimately pissed me off. I'm like, wow.
It's just silly.
Yeah. Yeah, you need votes. You need that vote revoked when that happens, man. That is somebody who generally does not think of things objectively at all. Okay. Where were we? Sheesh, man. I went on a rant, but man, that was awful. Let's see.
We are very hate-filled people when Andrew's gone.
Yeah, well, this is the time to get the petty out, man. This is the time to get petty. This was it was the Super Bowl in general, man. It was a petty Super Bowl, which is awful. It was sheesh, man. I had to go to Dairy Queen in order to make me feel good about it. I had a big giant steak. It wasn't enough. I had to go to Dairy Queen and get something sweet. Got that Royal New York cheesecake blizzard. That was a good one. They had a red velvet one, but they ran out of freaking red velvet pieces. I was like, ah.
Listen, red velvet is one of those weird things. When you don't want it, it's fine. But when you want it, nothing will stop you from getting it.
Mm-hmm. And indeed. Let me get another one out of these. We got one of these out. Let me. I haven't done this one in a while. I've been sitting on it for a long time too. For a long time. I haven't done a. Actually, have I done a Let's All Y'all?
Well, we did one last week when Hank Aaron died.
Yeah, let's do some for somebody who's alive. Let's haul y'all.
Let's not be sad.
Yeah.
Too many people have died this week.
Let's haul y'all. This one goes to a hockey player, Jari Kurri, National Hockey League. Let me type that in here. So, class of 2001. Right winger. Drafted in 1980, I believe. 69th overall. The nicest pick of that draft.
Big nice.
Mm-hmm. Played for, most notably, the Edmonton Oilers during their dynasty years. Also played for the Los Angeles Kings, the New York Rangers, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, and the Colorado Avalanche to end his career. And yeah, man, this guy was in a team comprised of a ton of legends. Wow. I mean, he would be a legend on his own on any other team, but you kind of a little buried behind, Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky of all people there. But man, those Oilers teams were super stacked. Just the entire team might as well have been, and they basically are, all Hall of Famers. But yeah, man, this guy, he's one of the 100 greatest NHL players when the NHL had their 100th anniversary celebration. So he's one of the guys that ended up being there. He is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He is also in the IIHF Hall of Fame, so the International Ice Hockey Federation Hall of Fame. His number 17 is retired in Edmonton. It is also retired for the team that he played for before entering the NHL, which was Jokerit, which is he's from Finland, so part of one of the Finnish leagues there. And his number is also retired with the Finnish national team. He was the first great Finnish player in the NHL. Because around the 1980s was when you started seeing more Europeans entering the league. So for the longest time, a lot of things with the Soviet Union stuff, a lot of really great Eastern European or players like that were denied entering the NHL for reasons. And yeah, 5 Stanley Cups with the Edmonton Oilers in those dynasty years. First Finn ever in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And because he was in the NHL, he didn't get to play in a lot of international tournaments because especially the Olympics, because the NHL didn't go to the Olympics until 1998, where he won a bronze medal around the end of his career. And he ended up being the owner and now general manager of the team he initially played for in Finland, Jokerit. So it all came full circle for Jari Kurri. So that's our Let's Haul, y'all. And I want to head on over to Uncultured Swine, because said Jokerit team is the team I'm going to highlight there. See, I planned all of this. I had it all segued out. So Jokerit, one of the more notable European hockey franchises. So there you go. They got a jester there as their logo for the longest time, really. This team is pretty old, Charles. Established in 1967, and they've jumped around a few leagues because of that. So originally with SM Sarja from 1967 to 75, which became SM Liga, which is the highest league of hockey in Finland, from 1975 to 1987. Then, because they sucked, they were relegated to Divisiona, I-Divisiona, from 1987 to 89. Then they worked their way back up to the SM Liga. And finally, in 2014, they decided to join the Continental Hockey League, which is primarily comprised of Russian teams, but is now adding teams from other nations in there. So this is the first Finnish team to be added. And what most people would say is the second highest talent level in the world with regards to hockey. You know, the NHL's number 1, KHL's number 2. They've won 6 championships. Their last in 2002, so they've yet to win the Gagarin Cup in the KHL. Their notable alumni, Jari Kurri, of course, that we just highlighted, another Hockey Hall of Famer, Teemu Selanne, goaltender Kari Lehtinen, and then Esa Tikkanen as well, were all former players for this team. And they've also harbored some of the North American hockey players during the work stoppages. They'll head on over to Europe to play a little bit. So they've had a few of NHL players stop on by for those reasons. And this team is super successful. That's why I said they were one of the most successful European hockey teams out there. They set the single game attendance record for the KHL in 2017, when 17,645 people enjoyed an outdoor game at Kaisaniemi Park in Helsinki. That's where they play. And they also played the longest KHL game ever in 2018 against CSKA Moscow, and they won 2-1 in quintuple overtime after 142 minutes and 9 seconds of play. And they play their home at Hartwall Arena in Helsinki, opened in 1997, capacity of 13,449. They are one of the best, I think they might be the best attended team in the KHL. They hosted the IAHF World Championships and World Cup of Hockey games as well. And they hosted their first 2 ever NHL games, regular season games, back in 2018 when the Florida Panthers took on the Winnipeg Jets. And they chose those 2 teams because at the time, of course now, Alexander Barkov for the Panthers is a Finnish national. And Patrick Laine, who is now with the Columbus Blue Jackets, was part of the Jets at that time. And of course, he is Finnish too. So they got basically the 2 biggest Finnish stars to play against each other. And yeah, those are my 2 bits there with Let's Haul Y'all and Uncultured Swine. So I
feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah. Some we planned some stuff. It wasn't all just about the Super Bowl, but because
sometimes football's just not that interesting.
Well, the Super Bowl just wasn't that interesting, so there are reasons why. I want to get some of these out of the way. I've been hanging on to these for quite a while for the last few weeks, so I'll finally get them out. All right, Charles, we are down to the last part of the show. Are you ready? You ready
Are
to
you saying that we're in a countdown that could possibly eliminate options? Because that might be relevant to the wrestling world, folks. So
really?
I am ready if you are ready, sir and good mighty.
Yeah, we're
My
ready.
graphic on, let's see.
Yep.
Welcome everybody to your weekly Truplex, The Cage with Charles. Standard disclaimers, we all know wrestling is not fake. It is scripted. It's a stage fight. It's song and dance and ballet and poetry and motion. It's the stories about men and women chasing championships, chasing glory, chasing WrestleMania dreams for relevancy. It's also about people just wanting to beat the holy crap out of each other. And right now, everybody kind of want to beat the crap out of each other, despite the low ratings. But what's also wrestling? A comedy. It's a comedy because when you have a woman missing a leg drop on an apron, screaming, ow, my butt, and then about 10, 15 seconds later goes and says, ow, my hole, boy, do I laugh at cheap comedy. And so does Vince McMahon. So here we be, folks. We talk about eliminating, well, Elimination Chamber is upon us. I think it's a week from Sunday. They've already started out the cards in the WWE world. What do we know? For some reason, for some god forsaken reason, of things that make no sense, not all the main titles are going to be in Elimination Chamber. What's the Elimination Chamber, you ask, Charles? It is a steel structure of doom, of destruction, where people enter a pod. It's going to happen February 21st, but we're going to talk a little bit about it today because there's not as much to talk about in the wrestling world yet, in my opinion, so we can kind of talk about it. The Elimination Chamber has people entering in that chamber, about 6 people, and it's in a, you can't see me, but quotation marks, random order selection, who comes in, who comes out, and the last person standing essentially is your new champion. The one thing I don't understand and why we're in it is because the build has not been that good for Elimination Chamber. Remember, the Royal Rumble was just last week. Edge had won it. Charles loved it. Made me feel all good, warm, and tingly inside. I definitely do not understand the internet community because God knows they're pissy pants all the time. But anyway, they announced the Elimination Chamber for the Raw segment yesterday. It was a low Raw, by the way, 1.7 million in the ratings, which is no bueno. You don't have Monday Night Football anymore. Who are you going against? The news? You gotta get more people in there, man. Stay away from the news. Come watch us. But they
I bought
announced
some
the WWE
Dogecoin, by
Championship.
the way.
Oh God, don't do
Come on,
that.
I need some
Don't do
meme
it for
coin,
the meme.
man. Doge.
Don't do it for the meme. Don't do it for the meme.
I
That's
just,
been like a certain thing with
I
my
threw,
other group
I
chat.
threw $10 at it. Come on.
You know what $10 can get you? 2 bacon chalupas at Taco Bell.
I just saw the commercial.
So as you see in the as you see in the graphic in the background, you have already the 6 announced entries. So I believe it should always be this for the Elimination Chamber. I believe title should be defended in there. The last couple of years has been for #1 contender spots in the not the Royal Rumble, but leading to WrestleMania, and that bothers me because why would I want to go through steel and destruction and breaking through glass pods and trying to survive 5 other superstars or wrestlers, depending on what Vince wants to call them throughout the day, if all it's going to leave me a contender shot when contenderships could just be given at some point, earned, whatever, throughout the weeks. But I'm already kind of hating it because we got Drew McIntyre. We know I want Drew to drop the title. I have not been liking his second run. He had to face Goldberg. It was bad. He was doing something with Sheamus, the guy who looks like he came out of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. The white shirt, the red beard, the little bowler hat, looking like he's a mean, green posse over there. Great wrestler. He just turned on Drew. So why don't we just do that match, Elimination Chamber, and then we do the chamber matches for the women's championships and maybe the SmackDown championship? Because the whole storyline of the building into everything is that, has Edge decided who's going to face at the Royal Rumble? And now they're doing it with Bianca Belair, and it's like, hey, who's Bianca going to go face the Royal Rumble? But let me enjoy the Elimination Chamber because this is your last chance to make me believe that there's going to have some impact and relevancy going to WrestleMania, because the pay-per-view after this is Fastlane in March, and we know nothing's going to happen. Maybe you have a mid-card title change, but the WWE Championship is not going to change in March. And my problem is you already had Drew and Sheamus just about to start a feud, and now you're including a whole bunch of these other guys. Once again, we have Randy Orton interfering, or he's going to be in the match. Well, we're waiting for the Fiend. He toasts the guy alive the same way that Francisco toasts his Arepas and how we toasted the town of Tampa Bay. Sorry, it happened, or the city of Tampa Bay. You have Jeff Hardy, who is fine, but he hasn't done anything the last couple weeks. He was jobbing out to Elias and feuding for Elias and then beating Elias. AJ, we like AJ. Charles not going to say ill will. He's the one I mentioned that can give me a 4-star match and a handicap match with my buddy helping out. Miz has been booked as a loser. So I don't understand what he got to be in there. But then you see him with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So he already has the briefcase. So unless you're going to do the ultimate swerve, which would be have him first eliminated, and then at the very end, have Drew beat out everybody, and then have Miz cash it in. I'll tell you right now, I would love that. Because it's like the ultimate FU and a great way to kind of defend that reign. But what I'm saying is a lot of those guys are not exceptional choices to consider. And mind you, the Raw roster is a little bare, but it doesn't fit per se, especially if you're going to feud with Sheamus and Drew. Not a big fan of it. Wasn't crazy. What I am a big fan of is they announced it yesterday because there's mixed storylines coming in where they're going to have Bobby Lashley, the man who I think literally eats children so he can have the best traps in the world, who has been booked better than Drew McIntyre as a United States champion because he just wants to murder you now. He's part of the Hurt business, and boy, he is the CEO because he put on Hurt. Look at this man. He is scary. I still dream for the dream match of Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley, but man, the way you're booking him, I like it. He just wants to hurt you. Please. They have him, Keith Lee, and Matt Riddle in a triple threat for the U.S. Championship. And right now, yes, I understand it's a copy and paste of what we had Friday on SmackDown, which was Big E versus Sami Zayn versus Apollo Crews in a triple threat for the mid-card title there. But there's a difference. This is just beginning. Even though Riddle and Lashley have been feuding, and Lashley and Lee did have a match a couple months back to which Lashley low blowed him, the Big E match resolved itself because now Sammy has effectively been pinned twice or has lost twice and has opportunities for a rematch. Now you can go feud with Apollo and Big E. But this match I'm about because it's a different set of styles. You have Bobby Lashley, who's just murder Ton 3000. You have Matt Riddle, known as Riddle because Vince doesn't want you to research his first name, Matt, because that's when you see the sexual assault charges, or not charges, necessarily not charges, or redacted claims. So, they want to hush that publicity. So that's why he's Riddle, who is that kind of Spicoli-esque, Fast Times at Ridgemont High wrestler, talented wrestler, kind of funny. It's a different dynamic. He has a very MMA background. And then you have Keith Lee, who I was big on in the NXT, and Vince has ruined him. Fat shamed him a little bit, I think, by giving him a singlet of an attire when he used to wrestle shirtless. I wouldn't mess with Keith Lee. I wouldn't call him fat. He'd beat the hell out of me. But putting into a triple threat match, I think lets Bobby still kind of be protected if he loses, leads him to Mania, or allows him to lose that title, but go back and challenge Drew properly. Because they had a match in June or July at Extreme Rules, but it was a one-off, and I felt like it should have been more. But the way you've been booking him as just a destroyer, especially how he was in the Royal Rumble, there's potential. And the great thing about triple threat matches is that you can get a diverse set of styles because it's not the three guys trying to beat the hell out of each other nonstop. There's sequences, there's pauses, it's 2-on-2, there might be both guys are down, and you're going to make everybody look good. Your boy is a fan of that. What I'm not a fan of, Lacey Evans and Asuka. I like Lacey as a character, but her inclusion with Ric Flair to get over on Charlotte is going to cost my girl Asuka real credibility. Unless we're getting an Asuka heel turn, then I'm about that. But last night on Raw, for some reason, Lacey Evans went against Charlotte, and if Lacey beat Charlotte, she would get a title shot at Elimination Chamber. But all Lacey's been doing, here's my problem with wrestling. You need to treat wrestling and getting contenderships like you do boxing. The guy who only has 3 wins to his name does not automatically get a world title shot. This ain't UFC because they're so low on names. I have to throw whoever's out there because UFC needs that next big name quickly, right? The rising star. Boxing's a slow man sport, man, and not slow in the art of the style, but the art of credibility. You have to figure out who to appoint, and I feel like that should be with wrestling because if you have too many people who just don't deserve the opportunities, how are we going to know as viewers if they're lower card, if they're mid-card talent, or they're main event talent if you keep hopscotching them? Lacey had been losing in the tag teams with Peyton Royce. Now she's going over on Charlotte because obviously Vince sees something in her, and there's something there. There's some talent. Her ring work is still very green, but the character work, because here's the thing about wrestling. Sometimes you're a good wrestler, and sometimes you're a good entertainer. And the WWE stands for World Wrestling Entertainment. So if you fill one of those qualifications, you can get that paycheck. But you could do better than this, because how is it that you beat her via DQ, and you get Asuka for a Raw Women's Championship. Wouldn't it just make sense to allow Asuka to be a dominant champion and defend her championship in the Elimination Chamber against 5 other women and murder them all? And then you give me Charlotte and Asuka for the title at Mania. Again, I understand we're replaying it, but all the best rivalries had multiple matches at Mania. Austin Rock. They went 3 times, baby. Taker Michaels. Taker H went 3 in different generations. You gotta build it. They don't want to do that. And I talked to my buddy about it earlier. I think Lacey's going to win. I think it'll be chicanery that happens. And then it's just going to be a way to take the title off Asuka, which it is probably time to take that title off of her anyway. She's had it since Money in the Bank when she basically won it in Money in the Bank, but the briefcase was really the title and not a title opportunity because Becky Lynch got pregnant or was pregnant already. But I just can't get behind it, man. And it's that illogical booking that I kind of hate. What I will leave to the future, because we're going to go to some other stuff. We're going to go to New Japan. You know how I feel about New Japan. Got a little, man crush on those guys there. I leave it at this, where there's still time to build it and make it interesting, but now's the time where you need to integrate that pay-per-view to other storylines for WrestleMania. I need a clear vision. What I need you to do is fix the tag teams. Who do you want to represent Raw or SmackDown for the tag team titles? What are we doing about Edge? Like, I don't want to wait 2 months for Edge to make his decision. It's pretty clear cut. It's going to be him and Roman. I believe I sent you the promo of Roman screaming, saying he's playing games with me, and he just shouts, "Why would you play games with me?" to Edge. We want that because I think it's a better style clash. I think there's a better story being told. One's a tribal chief. The other one is the guy who miraculously coming back and he's going to be murdered by the tribal chief, and that's what you should do. By no means should Edge win whatsoever. If he does, I'll live with it. But you got to get that heat on that heel. And to beat the guy that everybody loves, who has this feel-good story, is just miraculous. And also, I'm intrigued, Francisco. I'm intrigued of what we're going to do with Kevin Owens because I thought it was done. And he shows up on SmackDown, just stuns Roman and goes on. Is him and Edge going to work as a tag team against Uso and Roman? I'm okay with that for Elimination Chamber, which is almost a throwaway pay-per-view. I'm okay with it. Or are we going to tease me, because you talk about slutty pancakes, we're talking about slutty wrestling, not a bra and panties match. Are we gonna get my toppings going by possibly finding a way to extend Owens and Roman into a triple threat match at Mania? And you might say, Charles, is that excessive? Well, I'm a glutton, baby. That's what happens because I think it protects Edge and his ring rust because there was some ring rust there, not the Royal Rumble when he had his match with Randy Orton, and it continues a feud where both men could just kill each other and Edge wins, and it's like, okay, that's fine. It all makes sense, and then allows a further story to proceed. So I'm intrigued. Going over to Dynamite because there's nothing going on with Impact. I implore everybody to watch Being the Elite. Not all the time, but to watch it for the Dark Order segments because that's where some of their stories are actually developing, such as the Dark Order falling in love with Adam Page, wanting him to join, and then he's not going to join because he's been hurt before by being in the group because he was part of the Elite. And, they're obviously looking for the Void since Brody passed. But now Matt Hardy, that's right, the brother of Jeff Hardy, who's in the Elimination Chamber, look at that all comes together, is trying to recruit Hangman Page for the big money Matt enterprise. And so in the Being the Elite segment 5, so they're writing out these Valentine's Day cards because Valentine's Day come around, get your boo something like a Henry Handy shirt at our Sports Group website or our Fire Thighs shirt or a hoodie. I think we make hoodies. Francisco hasn't made anything for himself. I think he has a lot of quotable stuff. Would you really got to put yourself out there? I'm a slut for pancakes. Really could be your motto.
Oh, I will do that later. We'll do that later.
Yeah, there's stuff that you can go into. We can go. You need to expand it, because you're so good at everything. A master of all, man. So they're writing things, and all of them write like love letters to Wardlow, who's like this big like jack dude, and Stu Grayson. And I don't know if it's stage. I don't know if anything's like I know it's stage, but it's like pre-written. But he's talking about his Valentine's Day card for Wardlow, and it goes, you pull hard, you push hard, you are hard, and so am I. That's like the card he gave, and I died. I was on the ground. I was just done. But 5 goes to Hangman to give him his Valentine's Day card because that's who he chose. He goes to Wardlow. Wardlow's like, "Where's my card?" Because everybody gave Wardlow a card. He's like, "Where's my card?" He goes, "I'm sorry, you're not my type." It was just so funny. And then he goes to Hangman. Hangman is kind of like, in a way, he doesn't even see the card, leaves it. And then 5 puts it into Hangman's jacket. And of course, in pure soap opera, because wrestling's a soap opera. Matt Hardy sees it, reads the letter, rips it up so Hangman can never see it. Because even though Hangman Page broke the hearts of the Dark Order, that story's not done yet. I think I sent you guys that breakup session. It was hard, man. I almost cried, but it was great. It felt like an episode of The Bachelor. I see ABC in the background. That's what it felt like. Choose me, Adam. He hasn't chosen his clique yet. And AEW is getting too faction heavy because I feel like they're mimicking New Japan. And yes, they are still going with the whole co-breeding, as I call it. It's not even interbrand. It's like co-breeding. Basically, we're having 3 ways of wrestling because New Japan's in it. That's how we segue to that. Kenta is teaming up with Kenny Omega to go against Pac and Jon Moxley. I believe that's correct. I forgot who Moxley's teammate might be, but I believe it's that because Moxley is what? The New Japan US champion. We talked about it last week. I'm not crazy about it. I feel like it's going to mix some guys down. And if this is what you need to do to survive in the pandemic world, I get it. But how is this going to set out the storylines coming back all together? So that has its concerns for me. New Japan, though, we have the new beginnings of Hiroshima coming in. The pay-per-view starts tomorrow and goes the next day. 2-night event. Some good matches are going to be there. First one that you're going to have is Hiromu Takahashi versus Sho. I call Hiromu the Japanese pimp because I love his style. He's so flashy. It's like Bootsy Collins in the Japan world versus Sho. It's for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Boy, can those guys go. That's definitely going to be kind of like a match of the night that I'll be excited for. I'll make sure to watch it. Guerrillas of Destiny versus Dangerous Trekkers. Remember, everything is a faction. Guerrillas of Destiny is Tama Tonga and Tonga Lao, and they're part of Bullet Club, who's also part of the people that you see in the Being the Elite. Like I said, crossbreeding is a bad thing sometimes. We'll talk about that probably in a couple of weeks when it all blows up in our faces, or it's perfect. Dangerous Trekkers is part of Suzuki Gun. We love Minoru Suzuki. He's the king. But they've been kind of going out a little bit. I feel like they need to spice up that tag team a little bit. I don't know if they've been hurt in the amount of challengers to go for that title because of the virus, but it's a possibility. Night 2, that's when it comes into the big match that we talk about. Kota Ibushi versus Sonata. And even though I don't think Sonata is going to win, obviously not, because you can't flip-flop, I think something's going to happen in the match. And I hope something happens in the match where they make the determination that they have to stop having one champion hold both titles as double belts. Because it's not as even he's defending let's say, Kota's not defending the Goofception. It's not defending the Intercontinental title one night and then the heavyweight title the next night. It's at the same time for the double belt. So you're not going to merge it because I think you kind of ruin the legacy of both titles, but I'm getting sick of it. You've done it for a year. It's lost this meeting. Good for Kota for basically being a wrestling god. But they got to find a way. So I think they can kind of split that a little bit going into it. And that'll be interesting. They're also doing so this you find this because we don't talk about it that much. They have a 6-man tag team championship. So there's your standard tag teams, which is 2 people going against each other. They do the 6-man, which is 3 versus 3. So Chaos, which is a faction, pretty much, which is Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, who I've been watching a lot of his. I don't know why, but lately I've been seeing like, okay, these guys, I'm going to talk about New Japan. I should do a learn a goof sometimes on a slow segments, whatever, about the New Japan wrestlers because I could talk all day about the WWE stuff, but the New Japan stuff even informs me and gets me all into it. They're defending that never openweight championship against Bullet Club's Jay White, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Lao. So yes, the same people who were already defending in the prior night, their tag team championships are now going to be going for the triple threat. And I think they win it because why? It brings over the Bullet Club to defend titles in AEW. And it's been rumored that AEW wants to introduce a 3-man championship. I don't like to call it a 6-man tag team championship because it makes no sense. I think Lucha Libre calls it the AAA triples, which I kind of really like that a little bit more. What would you call a 3-stack of dynamites? Maybe you can do something like wordplay, like they have the TNT championship. Make it fun, make it cute, do something with it. But that's going to be interesting. Should be some good matches throughout the night. And we'll see from there. And that's, I think, all I got for you this week in the Cage, man.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that's it. That's it. Yeah, number 92. We're done with this one. I guess from what I've learned, you're supposed to do like a call to action to people at the end of things. So I'm going to try it out. If you guys like our stuff, you can subscribe to us. We are literally on everything. We're like literally on everything. All right, YouTube, Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all kinds of podcast apps. There's like 40 of them. You'll find us. You'll find us there. We're in India. we're in India. We're in all kinds of countries now, all kinds of states.
Follow us on Twitter,
Yeah.
FKOJR, Charles the True, Dan Frijole, Sports Goofs.
Yeah.
Follow our counterparts as well.
Yeah, we got a merch store. If you want to get some of that stuff, you can also go to our Patreon, support us if you want to. Yeah, we got stuff there too. We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
And we will find you. We will find you, especially that guy that didn't vote for Alex Smith. So
Yeah, we're gonna find you, bud.
And Tom Brady, tribal chief of football, as Charles has said.
Yep. Tribal TCTB.
Oh. All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care.